What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Crossplay, our video game podcast here at the Whatnauts. It is Saturday, January 9th, 2021. The very first podcast of the new year. We guys hope you had some fantastic holidays and a happy new year. We just got done with our first week here in the United States, and boy, it was a crazy one. I will say that. But yeah, this week we are going to be jumping right in with our Game of the Year discussions for 2020. I will get into how that works in just a sec. You guys know me. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Ignacio Rojas.
New year, new me.
And Alan Busby.
Hello. It's a new year and the same old me.
And Gino Viteri.
It's been like 5 years since we've talked to each other.
It really feels like it.
It really does.
It's been a hell of a year too already.
Well, not me and Kyle, but like Gino and Ignacio. Oh yeah, it's been 1,000 years.
Hell of a year. What's up, guys?
What a year it has been.
So I will say on a more serious note, if you guys want to know where we stand with all of the stuff that has been happening here in the United States, all I will say on that is fuck Donald Trump. Good riddance. So yeah, hopefully more good news comes with that down the road, besides just him getting banned off of Twitter and stuff like that. But
just so you guys know, he's also banned off Crossplay and the Whatnauts.
Yeah, we never had him on. We don't, and if you support him, we also don't want you to follow us or give us your money or stuff like that. But there you go. That's what we will say. That's what we think here at the Whatnauts. So there you go. Video games.
Video games.
Let's talk about video games, man. 2020
Heck yeah, dude.
was a crazy year for video games as well. Especially with the virus kind of shutting everything down and things being canceled all around.
Yeah.
We didn't really know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, Cyberpunk released to critical acclaim.
Ugh.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
But when
He's
all
being
this started,
sarcastic.
people thought it would be like a bad time for video games, but
Oh yeah.
it's probably one of the biggest years for video games in recent history.
Well,
To
We're
be
still
fair,
gonna see the consequences through this year.
That's what
scalpers didn't help new console launches either, but
that too. But I think that 2020 we got the 2020 that we would have gotten pretty much without a pandemic. I think 2021 is the one that will be really affected. I mean, if you see right now what upcoming games we don't know much.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
well, Returnal comes out soon.
Hitman.
I'm excited
Monster
for
Hunter
that.
Rise.
Yeah.
Mario 3D
that's the
World.
thing. Like we know some of the things that are supposed to come out.
Yeah.
But
Like Ratchet and Clank, God of War.
Yeah, we don't know exactly if it'll hit those dates.
We don't know when Hollow Knight Silksong comes out. I know, guys. It's a
Didn't that
damn
one come
shame.
out?
When are we ever gonna get justice for Silksong?
I thought that one came out.
No. We're waiting for Silksong to come out. Why isn't it out yet?
And it won't.
It better.
I don't know. Did the final Shovel Knight DLC ever come out?
That one doesn't lift my eyebrow like Silksong does. I hear Silksong and my eyes perk up. I hear Shovel Knight and I'm just kind of like, okay.
It was a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it.
I just don't want people to announce games anymore way too early. People should announce games months before they come out. Let's start doing that. Let's normalize that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then when are you
it's,
gonna get
like,
hyped about?
Ready.
What am I going to get hyped about? I can get hyped the day before if it comes out. The next day.
The schedule
all I
will
need.
eventually change, right? Where they announce something and that's when you start to get hyped. And it's like, it's out in a month and a half. And then you're hyped for a month and a half. And then it actually comes out.
Yeah, that'll be great, dude.
Anyways.
I mean, I get why companies do that. It's all financial stuff.
You want to stay relevant.
It's all economics.
Get investors and keep their...
But yeah, ideally, one would rather not know
stocks
about
up.
the game that far in advance.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We got some discussing to do here on some video games.
yeah.
We're going to do our Game of the Year discussion, and we are going to make the Whatnauts official top 10 list. And to do that, all four of us have our own top 10 list. So let me explain how this will work.
Which we haven't seen of each other's.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Also, we
what your
should go
guys'
over the
list will be.
rules, I think, once more.
Yes,
Well,
which is what
he
I'm
only
about
had
to do
one
right now.
rule. There was only one rule.
But he's doing it right now.
Let me explain how it's gonna go down. Okay, we are gonna start. If you have like a game or two or three that you want to shout out that did not make your list, that's what we'll start with. Just be like, hey, shout out to this game. It was good. Didn't make my list. You should check it out. If you have something to say on that, you can. But keep those short and sweet. Then, when we get to our actual list, we will take turns announcing all of the games on our list. We'll start with our number 10 spot, right? So, for example, if I go first and I was to announce my number 10 game, and for example, if I said, hey, my number 10 game was Avengers, then if no one else had that game on their list, or if it's someone else's 10 spot, then we will talk about that game right then and right there. But if I say that my number 10 spot is Avengers, and Ignacio is like, hey, I have that as my number 5 spot, then we will wait. And we'll wait till we get to whoever has it the highest in their list.
Right.
And that's when we will talk about the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
What was that?
I made a joke of I'll allow it.
Oh. So each of our games is awarded a point. So our number 10 spot gets 1 point, and our number 1 spot gets 10 points. So after we're done announcing them all, we will add them up and then make our list that way. And if there's ties, we can discuss about how we want them to go. Or if we see something of like, ooh, that's at number 7, but I don't know, that should probably be like a 6, maybe. Then we can discuss from there. But that way it just helps us speed things along. We don't have to sit here and argue in circles, as fun as that can be. Right? It's just like, hey, let's smooth things just a little bit, right?
Who's gonna keep a score?
Exactly. Yeah. I am opening up a new Google Sheet. Things. I will keep.
I got my notepad right here.
Yeah, I got my notes here.
Let's see. So I don't know about you guys, but my list has changed drastically within the past week.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think over the holidays, I put in like 50-something hours to Valhalla, and then I started 4 different games, and I finished 3 of them.
Ooh.
Are they on your list then?
Some of them are, yes.
Interesting.
So there you go. Okay, let's see.
Okay, sounds good.
That's Alan.
Yeah, my list has not changed. I sat down one night trying to I wrote down every game that released in the calendar year of 2020, and I wrote them all down that were new of that year. Yeah. And then I looked through that whole list, and I was like, what games would I mind going back to playing again that I really enjoyed that I would put in my top 10? And I did that for maybe an hour and a half, and my list has not changed because I have no regrets.
Yeah, I found myself looking at lists of games that came out in 2020 and forgetting that they came out in 2020. And I was like, yes, definitely. That should be on my list then.
Yeah.
Because I thought it came out the year before.
I kept track of the games that I played this year, specifically for this moment.
Same,
I
yeah.
used the app, I don't know, GG? I don't know if that's what it's called. But yeah, I kept track of every game that I played, and I just sat down one day and I made my 1 through 9, and then after I got my PS5, I added one more game.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Who wants to start us off?
Before we continue, I think that there's something that we should make clear. The rules that we agreed upon last time that we talked.
You don't have to worry about it.
So,
no worries.
Just to make it clear, for Game of the Year, the game must have come out during 2020.
Yep. They all did.
Games that were either re-released or remastered do not count. Special editions do not count. The game must have originally come out in 2020.
See, then I didn't play 10 games. So the original rule the only rule that Kyle officially said was if it came out in the calendar year, and that's what my list is based off of. So if you don't like it,
rules that we agree upon.
If you don't like it, Ignacio, you're going to have to deal with it. We play different games.
So
all right, so
I will allow it for this year, but keep it in mind for next year, because there's one on there that probably shouldn't be on there, but
if you're here next year, bitch, that's what you get for not listening to the rules.
Hey, I'm only having it on there, and I went back and I played some more of it, and I'm only basing it on the new stuff they added and the community's response to it, and that's why it's on there.
Game.
That was a little aggressive on my part, so I apologize for.
Good.
The reason I think I'm fine with allowing it on there is to make sure that you have 10 games. Wow. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm just giving him shit.
Well, there's more than that game that you're gonna probably have problems with, but that's okay.
He said there's
They're my games.
A lot of eye rolls.
No, there will be.
Alan, if you didn't spend
you have
thousands
this year,
of hours.
Hopefully next year you.
I don't buy new games because I don't. How about games are subjective.
So. Let's see.
There's one game. There's one game not on my list that is gonna get that is gonna for sure get a. Are you kidding me?
Interesting. I think mine
that's fine. So last thing I will also say, which I guess in a ways applies to this, but for our podcast in general, I'm never going to make you guys play certain things, right? I'm not going to be like, you guys have to play this game, and because it's the hot new thing. You guys can play what you want, and that's how I want you guys to play. But I want to do a top 10 list. If we need to revise the way we do it down the road, we can revise the way we do it, but I think this system works.
Yeah.
And works well.
You gotta pass this year, Alan.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna do it anyway.
Next year, we'll see if we have to change the rules for you.
All right.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. First? That's a year from now.
So I can start with my honorable mentions. I can just go through them. I have 9 honorable mentions that I don't have much to say. But
can you cut that down to like maybe your top 3?
Top 3? Okay, that's gonna be tough. Okay, there's some that I don't care about here. Okay, delete it. Easy. All right. Okay, so I guess the first one on my honorable mentions list, which is the best one here, would be Ghost of Tsushima. It didn't make my list because I didn't finish it.
Man.
And I'm trying to finish it now, but I know that game's absolutely incredible and it's amazing, and it would be on my top list if I had finished it.
Sure,
so I know it's on one of your guys probably.
I saw you streaming it this past week.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish it up. Next up on my honorable mentions is Valorant, which came out this year in the summer.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
That game is just a bunch of fun, but it's definitely a hard game with a bunch of CS:GO nerds in it, so it's hard to really be good in it, but it's still definitely fun to play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do 2 more.
Okay.
Phasmophobia is super fun. Phasmophobia definitely deserves a shout out, but it's just a dumb fun kind of game, not really much to think about. And Hades is not on my list because I didn't play through it, but I know it's an amazing game as well.
Okay.
So, and that's it. Fall Guys, Among Us, Ghost Runner, Bugs Next, Godfall. Sorry, I didn't listen.
Sneaking those in there. Good stuff.
Yeah. And those are my honorable mentions.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Alan, you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My honorable mentions are a little bit weird because I didn't have any specific honorable mentions. So the games that aren't in my top 10 that I just want to give a small shout out to, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to replace my top 10 with this one. And I know, this was my top 10, but I'm going to throw something else in there. I'm going to change it to Among Us. I know that didn't come out in 2020, but that game really blew up this year. Yeah. And at least with people at my work, it really brought me to meet a couple new friends. So I really appreciated Among Us, and I had a blast every time I played it. And then my other honorable mention that's going to get the immediate, are you kidding me, is I don't have Last of Us Part 2 on my list. It's in my honorable mentions. I liked it, but I just have no desire to go back and play it again because I love the story, I love the gameplay, but its gameplay is not up my alley enough to make me want to keep going back to playing it again.
Wow.
So it's in my honorable mention.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult one to play again. I will say that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wait, so you could have put that one on your top 10?
Huh?
So you did have 10 games from 2020.
What do you? No, I know, but like my number 10 was originally Among Us.
Oh.
But it didn't come out in the calendar year. I mean, technically it came out for the Switch in the calendar year of 2020, so technically that one counts. But,
It wouldn't go. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But yes, those two are my honorable mentions. I mean, a game, since you mentioned of a game that you forgot came out this year, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That game for me was sorry, Ignacio, was so forgettable that I forgot that the game even came out.
How dare you?
Beef in the crew.
Yeah, I was like, I feel bad because I know you love the game, Ignacio, but like I played that game, finished it, I cursed myself to platinum it, and then I immediately sold it away because I just did not care.
This is why you have not played 10 games this year, Alan, because you play for thousands of hours to platinum a game. It takes months.
Wait, so again, you did play 10 games for 2020.
Yeah, but they weren't good enough to really sit in my memory long enough for a long period of time.
All right, cool.
Okay, I'll go next then.
Cool.
My first honorable mention, Astrobot or Astro's Playroom. I really enjoyed that game. I think it is a great showcase of what the PS5 is capable of. It is one of the best packing games for a console, I think, that I can think of. But I wouldn't put it on the top 10 because there is a lot of game in there, but I wouldn't count it as a full game.
That's on my list.
Yeah, it's on my list too.
Okay. Next up, Mario 3D All-Stars. That's a good collection of 2 games, and I'll leave it at that. Only 2 games that are worth it. And those are 2 great games. What's else to say about those 2 great games?
Yeah, that's fair.
Next up, Predator Hunting Grounds. I know that a lot of people didn't like that game.
Shit, I forgot about that one.
That came out this year?
That's crazy, dude.
Even though I didn't play it with friends, I don't think so that I remember. I still enjoyed it a lot playing as a Predator, even by myself. It was a fun time. The last one, Fall Guys, it was a lot of fun. I did play it with some friends, which made it that much better. And I'm glad to see that it's still getting updated with new stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. Good stuff. All right. My honorable mentions. The first one I will mention is Bloodroots. This came out early in the year, and we were provided the code by Pop Agenda. So thank you to Pop Agenda
Shout out.
For that code. I had a bloody fun time with this game, and that's exactly how I would describe this game. It's bloody fun.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a fun little action. I wouldn't really call it a platformer, but it's definitely inspired by Jackie Chan and the way he like uses his environment to fight and stuff, right? Like you can pick up anything. You can get swords and carrots and shovels and all sorts of stuff. And it's a blast. It's like that Hotline Miami where both you and the bad guy is a one-hit kill. So you just have to use whatever you can to clear the stage. And it was a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it. So 2 others. All of mine are going to be indies that didn't make my list here.
Yeah.
So the next one I want to call out is Call of the Sea. This came out recently. It's on Game Pass, and it's like a first-person puzzle game that I think they announced it, or we first saw it, I think this summer at the like Xbox event. During
this is one you played over the break, right?
Yeah.
You played.
Yeah. This is one that I played this past week, and I had been wanting to play it, and I kind of forgot about it because it got buried in the midst of new consoles and Cyberpunk and all of that stuff. And I picked it up and I really enjoyed it. It's a great like 6 hour long puzzle game. The puzzles are great. The story is phenomenal. But yeah, just not enough to make my list, but I enjoyed it a lot. And last but not least, I guess you can. Well, I guess this one's not much of an indie game, but Gears Tactics. I want to give a shout out to
not an indie game at all.
Gears Tactics. Yeah,
indie game.
Yes, that one's Gears. Not. But yeah, so you guys all know Gears of War, and it's like third-person cover-based shooter. Translates incredibly well to an XCOM like tactics game. It works amazingly, and I had a lot of fun playing it for the most part. The final boss, the difficulty spiked up incredibly, and that was not as fun. And the side missions weren't great. However, the game left me being like, holy moly, I cannot wait for Gears Tactics 2. Whatever they make with the sequel of this will be phenomenal. So,
cool.
Go check out that game, which I believe it's also on console now, too. So,
yeah,
you guys can play it on Game Pass.
Nice.
Cool.
There you go. Okay, those are all our shout outs. I say we keep that same order. So it'll be Gino, Alan, Ignacio, and then me is the way we'll go, and then back to that. So Gino, what is your number 10 spot?
Okay, so my number 10, I don't think anyone has this. I don't know if you guys played it. My number 10 is Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Ooh, see, that's not on my list. That was one of my other games I played, but it didn't make it anywhere.
Yeah, I did play it. I didn't put it here. No, I don't think it was that good to consider.
So a lot of people made the statement that if they played this before RE2 Remake, they would have loved this one so much more. And I was fortunate enough to actually experience them in that way.
Yeah.
So I played RE3 Remake first, and this game made me want to play RE2 Remake. And then that got me into Resident Evil, so I played 7, Biohazard, and now I'm excited for Village.
Nice.
So, I had never experienced... I am an absolute scaredy cat when it comes to horror games. So I never experienced a Resident Evil game until this one. I don't know what I can say about this game, man. This game kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time, but still, there was moments where I slowed down, excited, but also horrified to see what I was going to see around the corner. And I have never played or genuinely liked a horror game before this one. So it's I know it's too short. I know that there's not much content for the price point. So I do want to have it on my list because it made me love Resident Evil the way I didn't before. So,
the spider part with Jill, that part fucking scares me to death.
And I fell in
Yeah,
love with
that's-
her as a character too. I'd love to see her more often in
Yeah.
future games, and I'm excited for RE4 remake and all this stuff. So I'm
I
glad
hope
that this
so.
game made me want to play those games because it's an awesome franchise.
To be fair,
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4, like even to this day, still holds up incredibly well though.
Mm,
Yeah.
Like you could
I
still
don't
play
think-
Resident. You could still play Resident Evil 4. It still is a great game. That's why they re-release it. It's a great game.
yeah.
Shut
So-
up.
Gino, I
Uh-huh.
can see your point as to. I do think that maybe if I hadn't played Resident Evil 2 remake, that it would have made Resident Evil 3 better, because
Yeah.
I do feel like 3 is like a. I don't know, like a smaller game, not only in length but in other ways
Mm-hmm.
than Resident Evil 2. So, yeah, maybe if I had played that one before 2, it would have made it into my list, because what was there, I did enjoy it. It was still
Yeah.
fun, like Resident Evil 2, but I did play it 2 before.
It was a good entry point for me because this game kept that sort of survival horror aspect of it, but added a lot of action movie kind of stuff to it.
Mhm.
So rather than just being a slow horror game like RE2 was, this one made it more doable for me to go through.
Yeah.
So
Also, if you enjoyed it, I do recommend that you play Resident Evil 1. It's not the same, but
yeah.
that's what got me into Resident Evil. And I
Mhm.
didn't play that one on the PS1, and I didn't have any nostalgia for it. I played it on my PS4, and that's what made me fall in love with.
Yeah, I
the
think
franchise.
I have it because I think it was free at some point.
Yeah, I think it
So-
was free at some point.
So I'll definitely try that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. And that's my number 10.
There you go. Alan, number 10
Well-
spot.
Well, Among Us was my number 10, but I swapped that one out. So I'm actually going to kind of last minute, so no real like thought behind this, but I'm going to throw my number 10 to Sackboy: A Big Adventure.
Ooh,
Nice.
Okay.
And I picked that because I still liked it. I've played all of the Little Big Planets 1, 2, 3, and Sackboy. And even though Sackboy: Big Adventure is kind of just a 3D Mario-esque kind of clone for PlayStation, I still think that style of game actually fit Little Big Planet better. It kind of sucks that it doesn't have as much customization with stickers and everything else as the other Little Big Planets. But the gameplay, the gimmicks, the music levels, really everything in that game was fun. Amy and I played that game together every time in co-op, and it was a ton of fun. The team levels when you play with friends, the kind of night challenges like the speedrun kind of levels, those are a blast. So I would recommend that game. I had a blast playing it. Platinuming it was not the best because of how much you have to grind for money, but you know that's optional. You don't need to do that, so you can enjoy the
Yeah.
game and not be tainted by that.
you can actually enjoy the game.
Yeah.
You can enjoy the game until like you can enjoy the game, you can play it, and even if your trophy percent says like 87%, you still had a great time.
Yeah. Alan, to your point where you think that you would have liked to see the customization, like the sticker stuff on whatever, without having played the game, I think that it was a better decision to not go that way, not trying to implement those things that
Yeah.
kind of like were things that would tie to the original Little Big Planet, because when you say that, it reminds me of when they tried to do a kart racer.
Yeah, like, well, I
that
only
wasn't
say
good.
I only say that, like, I'm not saying I love the customization of the older ones. Like, I didn't love it or hate it, and I don't love or hate the lack of it in this game either. But my favorite part of Little Big Planet 2 is playing the kind of community-built, kind of gimmick, goofy levels, and they don't have that in this, and that's
Yeah.
the only thing I miss. Like, that's really what I miss. But,
Well,
like,
you-
even though
you
it doesn't
also-
have it, I love the game anyways.
You also have to take into account that it is a different developer.
No, I know. I'm not saying that it needed it. I'm just saying it. If you like the originals for that reason, then this game doesn't have as much, so you might not like it as much. But if it doesn't
makes
bother
sense,
you,
yeah.
then this game is totally for you.
Yeah, I do enjoy that Sony is putting platformers at sort of the forefront of their exclusive video games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it opens the console up for a huger audience, families and stuff like that. So, and then being amazing quality, being Sackboy and Astros. So it's awesome to see that. This is definitely a game I want to try that I haven't tried
Reminds
yet.
me of the PS1 era.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
All right.
Yeah.
Ignacio.
For my number 10, it's a game that I doubt you guys have even played, which is Iron Man VR.
Oh,
No.
interesting.
Man, VR.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, the thing with VR games is that means if it is VR, that means fewer people will play it. So that's a shame because Iron Man VR does one of the things for which I love VR, which is it lets you live out a fantasy. It lets you embody something that you are not and something that you couldn't accomplish.
Yeah.
Iron Man VR does a great job making you feel like Iron Man.
Mhm.
The story is whatever, it is there. If you need a story, it is fine. I think that it is fine. Kyle, I think you said that it was kind of like Iron Man by the numbers, that it is typical Iron Man, nothing new. I still enjoyed it, but the reason why Iron Man VR shines is what I said, that it does make you feel like Iron Man. I don't know how better to describe it than that. You know how he would
That
feel,
works, yeah.
and that it does it so well. So even better than I would have expected, and that's why I wanted to give it at least a shout out for my number 10.
Nice.
Glad to see some VR representation on these lists here. So.
Shout out to Sony, because even though PlayStation VR is not their biggest seller and it's not out there with their marketing, I don't think so. It's still something that they put work into. Not only Iron Man VR this year, but last year with Blood and Truth was also I would have put it in. I think I put it in my top 10 last year. They still put out some good content for PSVR.
Cool.
Nice.
Good stuff. My number 10 goes to Spiritfarer.
I thought this would be in your honorable mentions. That's cool though.
Yeah. No, yeah, this made my number 10 spot. I enjoyed this game a lot more than I was expecting. I kind of really only wanted to check it out because it was on Game Pass and I liked the art.
Mhm.
And that was about it. And I was like, this game is probably not going to be for me. But that's the beauty of Game Pass. That's like, I can try all this stuff. That's like, hey, this new thing is out now. You can play it right now, you know?
Yeah.
And I still would say that this is not a typical game for me. It's more base building kind of, well, I mean, that's not all of it. But yeah, like it seems like a game that just, it's not a Kyle game. That makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty emotional, and you are ferrying these souls of dead people or dead animals. It's unclear exactly, but it is anthropomorphic characters. And yeah, they spend time on your boat that you can expand and, you know, do the whole base building thing. But they have you basically work with them in their final moments of just like how do you help them prepare for the afterlife, and you end up you know, establishing these connections with them, and when you finally have to, like, you know, let them go, it's just like, oh, I liked you, you're good, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it hit for me more than I think I was expecting to, because as I was playing this, one of my dogs passed away. And so, yeah, it was just the whole thing of like, I'm never going to get to see this dog again. He was at my parents' house, so I only got to see him once a year. You know, it's been months since I saw him, but now I have to take him to the afterlife. So,
Yeah.
damn, it sucks, you know? But yeah, so that hit me emotionally, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome.
Nice.
There you go.
Good game.
Yeah,
Good game.
It's always
artwork.
great when a game resonates with you emotionally with its storytelling. It always hits so different.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a game that I definitely wanted to try, but was distracted by other things. But I can see how beautiful the art was, and I assume the story was just as beautiful as well.
Yeah. It's very chill. It's a good podcast game. It's really relaxing.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Gino, going back
All
to
right.
you, my dude.
So my number 9, I'm sure is on your list, Kyle, and it's probably higher. Mine is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yes, I have that as my number 7 spot.
Okay, so we'll talk about it then.
Yes, unless someone else has it higher up, but I think it's only us two that played it.
Okay, sounds good. On to you, Alan.
Well, here's where I get my first unfair top 10 game of 2020, because it did release in this year, and it is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
Okay.
Now, to be fair, I know it's only a re-release, and honestly, Definitive Edition did not really add much except for the post game of the future connected DLC, and that was still really fun. I have Xenoblade Chronicles on here because I could not, when that game originally came out for the Wii, I never really heard it being raved about too much. Like it was, but I don't feel like it was as large it was now with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 being out. So I managed to find a slightly higher than MSRP copy of Chronicles way back on the Wii and played it to 100% completion twice within 2 months. So it really resonated with me with the characters, the story, the world. And the only downside is the game didn't look very good for the Wii at the time. So when they announced this, I got excited and I immediately binged it. One of the only rare times I play a game to 100% completion that's not on PlayStation with trophies, because that's just how I am. And again, just the characters, the story, just the twist that the game has, since it's already an older game, it just really affects me. Like sometimes I just listen to music that plays on that game and it just lifts my mood up. It just, everything about that game, the world, just how it immerses you in its story really resonates with me because I just love world building. So that's why I have Chronicles on here. It's already a re-release game, but it's a really great world building game. And it's, if you haven't played it somehow by now with these 2 versions, it's worth playing.
Quick question, when did it originally come out of?
I know it was during the Wii. I don't know its exact release date.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about this game. So
yeah,
but that's all I know. I've never played a Xenoblade game, so I have no idea what they're about.
I didn't like Chronicles 2 when I played it because I tried that game and I didn't like it. And playing Chronicles again this year has me super excited that I might give Chronicles 2 another shot this year, just to really enjoy it, because I love the characters in Chronicles 2. I just couldn't get behind the combat. So
okay.
So that's just it's a game I really love.
Nice.
There you go. Ignacio.
My number 9 is Crash Bandicoot 4.
Nice.
Alan, do you have it?
I do have it. It is my number 1.
Whoa, man. Okay, dude. Alan, you get it here.
It was higher, but okay.
Yeah, Crash 4 is my number 1.
Sure, okay, we can wait for it.
Right,
we can wait to talk about them.
That's gonna be the last game we talk about.
See, and you guys thought Devil May Cry 5 was gonna be my number 1.
Honestly, yeah.
Tricked ya.
That's funny. All right.
Get juked.
Okay, Kyle.
Okay. My number 9 spot goes to Paper Mario.
Oh.
Did anyone else have this higher up?
I do not have this. No.
No. Okay.
I watched Amy play it, and it looked really fun.
Paper Mario was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It's the typical, like, Nintendo just makes a damn good game, right? It was polished. It looked well. The one thing I didn't like about this game was the combat. It ends up being a bit of a chore. And the good thing is you can mostly avoid it. If you don't want to deal with it. However, I think it redeemed itself in the boss fights. The boss fights were incredible. They really used the whole like circular concentric circle puzzle thing to maximum effect, and I had a lot of fun with that game. And exactly how Spiritfarer hit me emotionally, this game is surprisingly emotional.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, all right, so back up a bit. There might be minor spoilers for some of these games here because it's end of the year game stuff of like why we liked these things.
Not minor. I think there should be major spoilers. There's spoilers.
Sure. Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
So with Paper Mario, one of the characters in your party at one point is a bomb. He joins your party and he'll fight with you and stuff like that. And the story quickly goes to like, what is the idea of a bomb? Like, what's its purpose? And it ends up with like its purpose is to blow up and explode.
He was a great character too.
That is so deep.
Yeah. And so there's a part in the game where you get stuck and you can't pass because there's this giant rock in the way, and this guy sacrifices himself. He's like, you know what? I believe in you and what you're doing. I will sacrifice myself for the cause. And it's just like, no.
That is so sad.
I was just starting to like you. Yeah. And it's a really emotional moment.
So it's pronounced babam.
That's how I always figured.
Yeah. I always thought it was Bob.
Yeah, Bob. That's what I always thought it was.
No, I would call that's how I put it.
Yeah, Babam makes sense. But that is so sad. That's incredible. I didn't expect it to be that.
Yeah, I can agree. Like Kyle, watching Amy play it, the combat of the game, because she had me play Thousand Years Door a couple years back, and I wasn't really a fan, and she wasn't a giant fan of the combat because it seemed kind of lackluster. But the boss fights for how puzzling and how you have to sit there and figure out a pathway to get to the boss, but also get all these power-ups. The boss fights look really cool, and I like how every boss is kind of like that kind of arts and crafts style boss too.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Team. Yeah, it was good stuff. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I assume it's my turn now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
My number 8 I know you have it, Alan. I don't know if you have it, Kyle. Astro's Playroom.
Yep, I have it.
Not on my list. That was my number 11.
Oh, okay.
Astros is my number 5.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about that then.
Man, my list is gonna fuck everything up.
All right, you go ahead, Alan.
Well, my number 8, which is probably higher on all of your lists, is Miles Morales.
Yes.
Yeah,
That is my number 2.
Yep.
This is higher on my list.
Yep. My number 8 is Miles Morales.
Okay, sounds good. We'll
Should
talk
we
about it.
say where we have it?
It gives you something to get excited about.
If you and I, Ignacio, both have that game on our list, we'll have to both be like, well, do you have it at your 3 or your 2? So we kind of have to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I mean, Alan already said what his game of the year was.
Yeah. Hey, it's all right. It's all right, man. It's all good.
But we also, none of us mentioned it either. You just said it.
Yeah.
Who,
That's
me?
weird, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get it out of the way.
I guess.
Okay, the damage is already done. I wanted to give the children out there a bit to look forward to. Some surprises.
They do. Now that they want to hear Crash, they have to sit here and wait till we get there.
Or actually, I could just leave the episode now.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the big reveal is what the final list will be. Yeah. Right?
Well, Crash is on my Crash is on my list somewhere.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, are you're keeping points while we're saying them,
yes.
right? Oh, okay,
yes,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Ignacio, it's your turn,
right? Number 8, Ghost Runner.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
So none of you played it?
Yeah, this was my honorable mentions that I blew through.
Oh, yeah. But Ghost Runner, I think that it was such a fun game for what it was. The only reason that I don't have it higher on my list is that even though it does everything well that it has to, everything that is there is great, but it's still a more concise experience. It is a short experience. But nonetheless, it was so much fun for the time that I was playing it.
Yeah.
I don't really have any much more to say. It was an interesting world. I know a lot of people didn't pay much attention to this story, but I did. I did think that at least having that lore there about the place where you are and how this dystopian world with the people down below and the people up high, I thought it was just very interesting. But what really shined about the game was the gameplay itself. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Even though you were dying constantly, you always wanted to get back up. And, I know that I failed here. I shouldn't have turned left here, or I should have jumped here, or maybe I should have gone the other way. Yeah. I found it so much fun.
It's pretty incredible that this, and obviously this isn't not to talk shit about 2077, but it's pretty cool that this is one of the better cyberpunk style games that came out this year.
Yep.
But also unfortunate that not a lot of people talked about it.
Yeah. And also shout out for the game being $30.
That too. Yeah.
I really feel that it could have been 60 easily.
Yeah, this game is worth that kind of price point, but I like that they said this is what we're giving you. It's a short game, but it's a complete package, and this is what it's worth. So it's an awesome waste of your money and time. I don't know a different kind of word to use other than waste.
Nah, it is waste.
It values your time
and money.
Yeah,
exactly.
It honestly does.
Exactly.
It values your time.
Awesome. Cool.
There you go.
Nice.
Okay. Let's see here. My number 8 spot goes to Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Right. That
because you got good at that.
I did get good and I beat it. And yeah, I loved it a lot. I played the first one and this one back to back. God, this is a beautiful game. It is gorgeous. So I played it on Game Pass on my PC, I guess over the summer. So by time I played it, it was basically all patched and stuff. It ran fine. But I know at the start when this game first came out, it was kind of buggy. And I guess now on the Xbox Series X, it runs at like 120 FPS. Wild.
And it looks that good. I think higher than 4K.
And the music is that good. Yeah. It's a good game. I liked the story as well. Just good, fun time all around. I think it was a great progression of the first game. To get some new powers and new challenges and stuff like that. It was good.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cool.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
All right. Number 7, correct? I have not been able to talk about it yet. Number 7, The Pathless. I assume none of you played this, correct?
That's the PS5 game with the bow and arrow?
PS4, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Well.
PS5 and PS4, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I'll talk about it. So this game, pretty much, what you're describing, Ignacio. Imagine Journey and Shadow of the Colossus had a baby, and that's what you get with this game. It's exactly what that is. And another weird thing, when I wrote credits on this game has no dialogue. And if it does, it's some weird language and there's subtitles. But when you roll the credits, Troy Baker and Laura Bailey voice the characters. I don't know how.
Wow.
I don't know what's the big deal here, but apparently they do. So
do they have like a post-credit scene where they're just like, sup? What's up?
No, nothing. Dude. I don't know if they voice the sounds of the eagle or whatever it may be, but whatever.
Oh, so you don't know who they voice?
No, I didn't know that there was voices in the game.
Oh,
it's the
Yeah, exactly. That was apparently that was Troy Baker and Laura Bailey.
Yeah, you can't recognize Troy Baker's grunts? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
anyway,
man.
So this game was published by Annapurna Interactive, which we all know is a studio that we love and respect. And this game just adds to that library of amazing games that they have published. I feel like they put so much thought into the games, but also strictly want them to be considered art other than video games. And this game is such a video gamey game, but also an art piece. And I had a hard time describing it back then when I first talked about it, and I still have a hard time describing it now. But this game has fast-paced, fun combat, riveting traversal, and an awesome soundtrack. That it all comes together into like a game that, again, I find hard to describe, but really easy to recommend. So that's my number 7, The Pathless. I definitely recommend it. Awesome short game to play to enjoy yourself.
Good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to eventually check it out. But yeah, just didn't really make my radar right away, so we'll see.
Yeah, this is one of those games that should be spoken about, like how Journey or Shadow of the Colossus is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So definitely worth a try. Okay.
Well, my number 7, I actually have on here for the same thing Kyle mentioned earlier, where it kind of resonated with him emotionally. I have Persona 5 The Royal as my number 7.
Nice. I'm gonna play that. I gotta buy it actually. I forgot.
Yeah. So the same thing. It's a release game, but like Persona 5 Royal added so many extra pieces of content and added such an extra chapter to the story. Yeah. And the Persona 5 story is already great, but at least for me personally, with like stuff I deal with in my life and everything else, and how I kind of view work and my own personal life, the ending. I'm not gonna like give too much spoilers. I know it's a spoiler thing, but the final palace and the final stretch of the game, the themes of the story that it uses, the way it uses music and conveys the emotions, even on my phone at work, if that final boss theme plays when I'm just kind of relaxing, it almost gets me emotional. Like I don't cry, but I definitely feel like a swell of emotions because of everything in that game that happens at the end and what it all signifies and the themes that it uses. And that song just hits me every time. So like I'm not basing off the whole game, but it's that whole without giving it too much away, the final enemy you can't even really see as a bad guy. You can see that the heroes you play as are correct in what they're doing, but you can also completely understand where the person you're fighting is coming from, because he is also right. He's just not doing it probably in the way that seems fair to everybody, but no one's really right. And I mentioned the music, but like there's always like the like stealing their treasure theme that plays for the Phantom Thieves. Right, if you listen to the lyrics, the theme that plays while you're invading that palace up to the final boss really tells the story of how the Phantom Thieves feel. And that final boss theme is pretty much, the lyrics are from the boss's perspective of how he views the Phantom Thieves, and it's beautiful. So yeah,
good stuff.
Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, that's a. Sorry, Kyle, you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
What you mentioned, Alan, about the villain, you thinking that they're right as well, I think is an amazing way to write villains in anything.
Oh yeah,
by making them a villain to the protagonist, but if you were on the villain side, they're the protagonist as well.
Yeah. So
I think that's definitely something that is always an awesome thing to see in the story of a villain. Yeah. And Persona has always been a series that I've wanted to try, but there's a huge commitment to it.
Oh yeah.
But Royal is definitely something I'm going to play.
Yeah, it's really good. And plus Persona 5 Royal came out, at least for me of my work, it came out 1 week into the initial shutdown, so I just was stuck at home for those several weeks just binging this game
perfectly.
day, all night, just day in and day out. So yeah, I pretty much had unlimited time to play it.
Nice.
I put in 50 hours, I think, of the original Persona 5, and it never hit with me.
Yeah.
I was just like, maybe one day I'll get back to it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
one day you beat the tutorial.
Maybe.
Yeah.
50
I
hours
still think
in,
Persona. I still think Persona 3 has like an overall better story of all the Persona games, at least the 3, 4, and 5. But 5 is definitely like the culmination of like the story and gameplay meeting like this perfect middle.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep. Top
Ignacio, what's your next one?
Number 7. This was a hard one to know where to put it. It's The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, all right. Ooh. Okay.
Well, that's on my list. It's higher.
It's on my list. Yeah. That's higher as well. That is my game of the year, actually.
But no. Wow.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Wow.
Yeah, just know that it was very hard for me to pick where to put it.
Yeah, I understand.
Indeed.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, my next one was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So Gino, did you want to start off with that one since you also had that on your list?
Yeah, sure. That was my number 9. So AC Valhalla. I personally loved Odyssey and didn't enjoy Origins as much. And I know that you, Kyle, were the opposite. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I think that this game takes the best parts of those games and puts them into this one in some way. I don't know how it does it, but
I would agree.
You didn't like Odyssey. I didn't like Origins, but we both like Valhalla. So this game, I don't think, being a Ubisoft game, I don't think it overwhelms you with things to do. But I felt that every little objective that you go to in the world is so different from every other one that I never found myself feeling like I was doing something repetitive. So, and another thing that Valhalla does that I think is nice to see is that even though Assassin's Creed has come such a long way from the original games, it's cool to see them go back to the kind of lore that made those cool. Mm-hmm. And I personally have not finished it. I think you finished it. So that's why it's lower on my list. But it's definitely a game that does a lot well. So what do you think about it?
I want the Assassin's Creed lore. I am a sucker for these games. Which is exactly why I didn't like Odyssey, is that they took all of that like Assassin's Creed bullshit stuff and they're like, that's going to be in the DLC. And so I played a 90-hour game and got none of it. And I was just like, this sucks. But this one, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they absolutely bring all that lore back. In a major way. So if you like that stuff with like the people that came before and the glitches and the animus and all the stuff about Desmond, and this will be a game for you. It never felt repetitive. Like you mentioned, you're always doing something different. It's just way too damn long. Like
I bet.
If they chopped off 60 hours of this game, it might have made my top 3 of just like this. Oh. This would have been a damn good game if it was just a 30-hour experience, right?
Yeah.
But it's long. There's a lot to do in there. You end up going to Asgard and Jotunheim and stuff like that, which I was not expecting. I mean, I was expecting to see it and stuff, but you actually get to play it and explore it.
I did not expect to be in there.
Yeah, so that was good. That was a lot of fun. I really liked the characters. I thought it was a good story. It was an interesting end to the game. There is a big twist, and I know you're like right there at the end, Gina, so I won't spoil it. But yeah, not something I saw coming.
Cool.
And now it's
I'm
like,
looking forward to it then.
Okay. Yeah. So good stuff.
I'm struggling on whether or not to play this game because personally, I would say up until Unity, I would have said that Assassin's Creed was my favorite video game franchise. But since then, the games have gotten so big that I start the games and I never finish them. I don't think I even get halfway through with them.
I wanna stop you right there, Ignacio. If you're struggling to play this game, I want you to play a game that's higher on my list.
I know exactly what it is.
I'll talk about it when I get there.
Okay. But yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that what you're saying, Kyle, and Gino, that it seems that they're going back to the Assassin's Creed lore that was there at the beginning. Yeah. And also knowing how they have Asgard and all these other realms, which I think is crazy in a cool way, it is pushing me towards playing it. But then again, you were talking about how long the game is, and I don't know if
it's a big commitment for sure.
Yeah.
And the neat thing with the side quests is that they're not really side quests. They're just like little small things you can do. So on one hand, it helps speed things along and you don't have to do all this extra stuff. But then again, it's like I just spent 90 hours on what felt like the golden path, right? It's just like, oh, there's so much. Good God.
How much of an RPG is it? Does it do the thing where you have to be of a certain level to do certain things?
Yes. So the map is sectioned off, and each section is you have to be a certain level to go do it. You can go do it without being that level. And in fact, I got to a point in the game where one of the final places, there's a city inside a larger section of the map. And that city was I think it was like level, oh God, I don't know, like 230 or something. And I was like level 240, but then the section outside of it, like the surrounding map, was like level 340. Yeah. And it was just like, oh God, if I go in there, my butt is gonna get whooped. And I went in there and I was totally fine. And didn't have a problem. You can upgrade your weapons and stuff like that, so you can just destroy someone. You know, this game is not great for stealth. If you want to play stealthily, it's not really built for that. Yeah.
But another thing that I found myself over leveled for a lot of the places once I got to them.
Eventually, yes. Yeah. I found myself being like, okay, I'm level like 190 and I'm starting something that's like, you should be level 150. Like, okay.
Yeah, so cool. Once you get further into the game, that sort of, I guess, just you're barely ever barred out of any location.
But you guys are not main pathing it. Or are you?
Not necessarily.
I mean, I did some things along the way, some like extra stuff, but for the most part, I did the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a game that you sort of want to do the stuff that you're running along to, running around on the way to somewhere else. You know, you run into something that piques your interest. It's that kind of game that you want to do these side things, and then they help you because you level up because of them.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's definitely a great Assassin's Creed in the franchise.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing some people say that this is now up there as one of their favorites like up there with Black Flag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I would agree. I don't know if it's my top. I still think the Ezio trilogy is the best. Right?
Yeah, that's the standard of the Assassin's Creed franchise.
I think this might go in my like fourth spot. I like the Ezio trilogy, Black Flag, Origins, and then this.
Yeah, but this is definitely the best one of the recent trilogy.
Yeah.
So that's great.
There you
so
go.
Try it out, Ignacio. Definitely a recommendation. But wait until I talk about the next game that's coming up, not this one.
Oh yeah.
But I'll move on to number 6. My number 6 is Animal Crossing.
Wow.
Does anybody have this on their list?
Animal Crossing. No, I didn't play it.
I didn't know that one of us played it.
Yeah, I played it. So here's the thing. It's a very objective pick for me.
Objective or subjective?
Shit, what's the definition of them?
Objective is like a concrete thing. Subjective is more of your opinion.
It's subjective. It's subjective for me. Because the thing is, I played 50 hours, which is nothing compared to people that are still playing it to this day.
Sure.
You know? So that's why I think of it as an objective point of view, because I understand that Animal Crossing became this sort of phenomenon, and it came out at the perfect time in a lot of people's lives, and it took over the conversation and social media. That freaking, what is it? People like Gary Whitta even created a talk show through it.
Yeah.
So I personally, I'm nervous to go back to play it, because I know the villagers that live with me are gonna talk shit to me for being gone for so long.
No, they're just gonna say they're just gonna say that they feel bad that they haven't seen you. They're not gonna be mean to you. You're gonna feel bad for ignoring them.
But that's the thing. I know that is gonna happen. I know that they are gonna say something, and I find that so freaking cool. That
Gino, we're not mad at you. We're just disappointed.
Yeah,
just like, oh God, no.
Because I've seen people post online of them going back, and one of them was like, "Oh, I thought you finally got that acting gig that you were wanted so bad," or something like
Damn.
that. The people, it's this game is so cute, it's so great, and I know that this is definitely in a lot of people's top list, because this was definitely a game that took over a lot of people's, and even replaced a lot of people's lives, because with the lockdown and all that stuff. So
yeah, it for sure came out in the perfect time for it.
Yeah, definitely. So that's my number 6. It would be higher if I was obsessed with it, but I did not get obsessed with it the way that a lot of other people did. But I know that it was an amazing game.
Yeah,
on the Switch. So that's my number 6. Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Amy played the crap out of that game. That's probably got to be her number 1 if she had a list, because she played that game. She still plays that game quite a bit sometimes, but
yeah,
I don't have Animal Crossing on here because I just, that game is kind of objective list and I can't get into it. But that's me flawed as a human.
You need to platinum this game, and you don't know.
I can't platinum it. But a game I did platinum that I loved because I like all the games that company's made is my number 6 is Ghosts of Tsushima.
Awesome.
Was
I have it
your
higher.
next one, Astro's Playroom?
No, Astros is my number 5.
Isn't that what we're on right now?
No, we're in.
No, we're on 6.
No, we're on 6.
We just did 7.
Okay.
Oh no, what did you do,
right,
Kyle?
Cool.
Oh no.
I'm just moving this over here.
Ghost is higher for me.
Okay, all right, yeah. Ghost is my number 6.
What did I have Ghost as? I had Ghost as my number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it at 4 too.
Okay.
So Ignacio, what's your number 6 then?
My number 6 is, I know a lot of people wouldn't hold this game that high, but my number 6 is Avengers.
Oh, okay.
Avengers.
Okay.
Man, this was low on my list.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I did enjoy the story, And that was mainly the reason as to why I wanted to play it. I'm not a game as a service guy. I'm not a kind of person that puts a ton of hours with games. I usually just go in, finish the story, go out. But for whatever reason, with Avengers, I stuck with it for a much longer time after I beat the story than I expected. It did hook me. The gameplay did hook me. And it's not the gameplay loop of getting whatever loot or stuff like that. It was just the gameplay. I really, for whatever reason, enjoyed the gameplay a lot. Enough to that be the only reason as to why I was playing it, honestly. And it did help that I had kind of like something to look forward to the point that once I realized that thing that I was looking forward to was so much further away than I thought it was, that's when I stopped eventually. But yeah, I just enjoy the gameplay a lot. I know Kyle will not agree with me, but I really think that for characters like Captain America or Iron Man, they to me feel like how they should feel.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing Cap's shield will not feel. It just feels so great to me. Throwing his shield and with Iron Man just punching someone and then going with the blasters and all that stuff. It really felt natural to me how they should feel. Even Hulk. Just to name a few.
It was a bummer to me because I didn't agree. I loved the story mission. I think it was too short and they chopped out a bunch of stuff that could have been in there, and I think that's what I would have wanted. Like if that was the thing that they did is just that single player stuff, I would have loved it. But yeah, the characters just didn't feel how I thought they should feel. It didn't feel good to me. So
yeah,
it's so weird. Glad you liked it though.
Yeah, it's so weird how it feels perfect for me, but it's quite the opposite for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 6, I enjoyed it much more than I would have expected it, or in hindsight, how I would have expected it.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, my number 6 is Hades.
Nice.
Of course.
Yeah.
I really want to get that game.
Yeah, it's a great game. I like it a lot. I still haven't beaten it, which might be why it is only my number 6 spot. But I've enjoyed my time with it immensely. I really don't have anything bad to say about the game. Like, it's great no matter what build you have. All the weapons are fun, and you get all these different powers. It rarely feels like you have the same thing with each run. Like each time you go in and do all of the fights and the levels and stuff like that, it feels brand new, and that's amazing. Like how do they make it feel different every single time? It's magic. And then to like go in and be completely surprised when you get the perfect build, right? And you're just like, oh, I am wrecking these fools. And you're just like, yes, this is great. Like I've made it to the final boss once, and I got my ass whooped. But that one time I had only gotten past the second stage maybe one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I made it all the way to the final boss. I was like, how did I do that? I have no idea, but that felt great. Like that was wonderful. It's a good game. The voice acting is a lot of fun. The colors, the art style, great things to say all around.
Yeah, this game got a lot of people into roguelike games.
Yeah.
Well, even just being a fan of Supergiant's like Bastion and Transistor, like this game feels like the Empire. This game feels like looks like the culmination of like everything they made before it.
Level now.
Yeah, because like Amy played Bastion and loved it, and I tried it and I loved it. I played Transistor, loved that, and like I didn't play Pyre, unfortunately, because it didn't look like my kind of game. But Hades, just being a roguelike, which aren't my favorite, but Hades just looks like it has such fast and fluid gameplay that it just looks like it'd be right up my action genre ass.
Yeah. And it like, I know this was out in early access for quite a while. I think it was out in like 2018 for early access.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
that's the thing. By the time they released it, this was like Nintendo levels of polished. Of just like, this runs incredibly smooth.
Yeah.
And it feels great. So, yeah. Kudos to them. That's a wonderful, wonderful game.
And remember, like you said, everyone in the game, everyone's hot in the game too. So there's that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they are very sexy, dude.
There you go.
Very sexy people.
Except your dad. Your dad looks kind of ugly.
I mean,
Dad's looking kind of. He doesn't have the hot dad bod. He's got the ugly dad bod.
Anyway.
Damn.
All right. We are all halfway through now, correct?
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. My number 5. I don't know if you guys think that this is probably going to be higher on my list, but my number 5 is Genshin Impact.
Oh,
Right.
man.
I thought that was gonna be higher actually.
Yeah, with the amount of money that you put into the game.
Right? How's that cardboard
expecting
box
Top 3.
for a house?
So we mentioned this earlier, Alan, about hype levels and games coming out. I found out about this game a week before it came out.
Really?
Yeah.
And then I found out that it was free. So I was like, oh my God, freaking awesome. Let me try this out.
And then he gave them $10,000.
So I did it, and it immediately clicked with me, dude. The combat in this game is the shining star of it. But I would not expect, and the other thing is I wouldn't have expected a free gacha game that is also on mobile to have such a well thought out story. And it did. It has a story that makes you want to get to the next story mission, find out what's going on. It's a story about betrayal and government and that kind of stuff. It was awesome. This is an amazing story for a game that I did not expect to have one.
I tried Genshin. I don't have Genshin anywhere on my list only because like I played Genshin for maybe like a couple hours and then I never went back to it, only because like I liked Genshin, but it's just like I like the art style, I like the combat, but just because the game seemed a little framey at times, I just couldn't quite get into it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah,
like I had the opposite. Like it clicked with you right away, and I tried to get it to click, and I just couldn't.
It's rare. It's rare for me for a game to click with me like that. For me to want to play it all day and then wake up the next morning, skip breakfast, and keep playing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then go to work and play it on your phone. And
exactly. This did that to me for a while, and I got into that loop. And like you guys mentioned, it freaking sucked me into the thieverous gacha system, dude.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you didn't play it on your phone. Too.
I actually don't like because it looks amazing on your phone and it runs incredibly well. But this is a game that deserves to be played with a controller and on a TV and all that kind of stuff. Because the not only that, but the character design is freaking amazing. Like now I have one of the characters that I haven't even played as my background on my phone because she's so freaking beautiful. It's the most beautiful waifu I've ever seen in my life. And that makes you want to unlock them all. But how are you going to unlock them all? By spending freaking money, my friends. And that's what you got to do. But it's so cool because every single character has they have their own personality, their own certain skills, and their own play style. So there's so much to the combat of it, the different combinations of elements, of skills, of weapons, that I'm not playing it as much as I did when it first came out, but I still come back to it every once in a while. And I enjoy however long I'm playing it for. So that's my number 5 right there. Genshin Impact.
Gino, you said that you heard about it right before it came out. Yeah. I knew about it when it was first announced. I don't remember when it was, but to me, it was always the Chinese Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And so when it came out, I give it a try because it really is a lot like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would call it like an uncanny valley effect where it kind of looks like Breath of the Wild. It's kind of close to Breath of the Wild, but it is so close and yet so far that that's what makes me not want to play it.
Yeah.
It's that uncanny valley effect. But in theory, it should make me want to... I should like it because it is very much a lot like Breath of the Wild, but also crossed with the anime, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's something that we can go back to the same sort of situation of playing Resident Evil 2 Remake before RE3 Remake. Because I didn't play Breath of the Wild before this.
Oh.
So falling in love with those... Yeah, I have not... I played it... I played Breath of the Wild before this, but not extensively. I didn't fall in love with it or any stuff like that. But experiencing those sort of systems in this game, for some reason, locked me in more than that one did. So I understand where you fall on it as well, because Breath of the Wild is Breath of the Wild, you know?
Yeah.
And this is not that. So it that makes sense.
Yeah, but you see, it isn't that, but at the same time, it is so close to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Where in a way, I feel like it is missing that Nintendo polish.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so close. That's why I call it like an uncanny valley effect.
Yeah, the other amazing thing that these the company is doing is they're updating the game continuously. Like, and these aren't just quality of life updates. These are game updates that are adding to the story. Yeah, they're adding to the story. They're adding more characters. They're adding more areas. Like they're taking very good care of the community of the game and all that stuff. That's because awesome. I mean, they're millionaires now because of you guys.
Yeah,
and me included.
Well, and you, yeah, especially you.
Yes, especially viewers. Well, they need more ways to keep getting your money.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. They're doing it right.
Yep.
Good for them, though.
Nice.
They deserve it.
I honestly was expecting Genshin to be like, I didn't think it was going to be your number one, but I just had a feeling Genshin was going to be like your number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see you putting your top 3, but not number 1. But sweet.
That's how many amazing games came out this year.
Yeah.
Well, this year had some great stuff.
Well,
speaking of which,
my number 5 is Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now we can do Astro's Playroom.
Now we can do Astro's Playroom.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my number 5. If you want to talk about it first, you guys, or me, or
okay. Wait, who has it lower?
I have it as honorable mentions.
I have it at 8.
Yeah, so you guys would talk about it first. So.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, Gino and Ignacio, you talk about it first.
Yeah, go ahead, Ignacio, or whatever. Yeah, go, Kyle. You were going, Kyle. You were going.
I'll go. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I had a blast playing it. It really reminded me of just that like Nintendo level quality of Mario stuff of just like, I'm going to play this like 3D platformer and just have fun. Right? Like it just exudes this like happiness and this just like, look, we have so much fun making these video games for you and let's just celebrate PlayStation. And that's exactly what this thing is. I will say that I went back in to try and platinum it because you guys were like, oh yeah, I platinumed it in like 4. I spent like 3 extra hours on that. I am still nowhere near getting platinum on that thing. Really? I don't know how. I'm like, what is wrong with me that I can't?
Are you doing the game help?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm just what are you missing?
What are you
missing?
Are you trying?
I don't even know.
What are you doing?
I don't even know.
Like the thing that would take you the most is finding probably the puzzle pieces. Honestly,
I have most of the puzzle pieces. I think I don't have much left, but I have enough that I was just like, next time I mention this game, I'm gonna be like, fuck you all. I hate you. No.
Is it the combat?
Well, there are also some very
he's struggling with the speedrun levels where you got to beat it in the record time.
Playroom, a Souls-like game where you.
I know when I beat when I finished Astro's Playroom and I knew that the platinum was so attainable, so many people were getting it, I was surprised with the amount of trophies that I still hadn't gotten. And I think that that's because a lot of those are having you do very specific things with the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, it was
maybe
weird because I saw people on Twitter posting it. I think Alan was one of these people. They posted when they first started playing it, and then 2 hours later they posted a picture of their platinum. I was like, "What's wrong with you, dude?"
I don't know how you can get it that fast.
The only thing I ever had to look up, as sad as this is I had to look up where to find like the PlayStation's like original logo in the PlayStation Labo room where you have to punch the sign. That was the only thing I had to look up.
Yeah.
I knew that one because I saw someone posting it on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like this being like a cool Easter egg. But that's one of the things that I want to bring up here that Kyle also kind of brought up.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with PlayStation. My whole life I have been mainly with PlayStation. I had a PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, and a PS Vita. I have a PSVR. And so seeing the amount of references and love that they put into the game, like
Yeah.
from even it blows my mind the detail of every model that they have in there, of be it the PS1, the PSP microphone, the VMU for the PS1, whatever. I mean, it blows my mind the level of detail, and also the amount of references that they put into each level, where they don't have nothing to do with any of those levels, but they just reference so many games throughout PlayStation history. It was so much fun trying to find those and trying to decipher which game it was. And I think maybe there were like 4 or 5 games that I didn't know what they were.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, kudos to them for the amount of love that they showed for PlayStation history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Have you guys ever seen that SNL of Kylo Ren when he does the undercover boss?
Oh yeah.
Dude, there's a part where somebody says something like, "Oh, I think Kylo Ren, he's actually doing the right thing," and then he's like, "Exactly."
Yeah, and he gets all excited, like, "Yeah."
Dude, that's what I'm thinking of when I say exactly, because you guys are saying exactly what I'm thinking. Where'd oh my god, I have it right here. Wait.
Gino wants Kylo Ren to say exactly.
Did you hear?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly. Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful ode to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing platformer. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they decide to continue on with Astro as a platforming character or in some form. And let's give a shout out to the fact that they included it as a pack-in game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you didn't have to pay for any of this, and it was a fully complete, amazing game to spend your time on. So that's awesome.
Yeah. For sure, one of the best pack-ins.
Well, I just want to point out that for Ignacio putting Astro on his honorable mentions, he sure had a lot to say about an honorable mention. But
I mean, it was only an honorable mention because it didn't feel right to put it on the top 10.
I'm not going to repeat too much of what you guys said, because you guys pretty much said exactly. Ignacio, I'm in the same boat. I've owned pretty much every PlayStation system through my generation. It was the first console I owned, so for the same reasons you guys love it, I do. Like you guys said, I love the references. The only thing I'll add is, growing up on PlayStation, while you said Astro isn't like really like a full, like you don't feel like it's a full sizable game, like regardless, I play Astro's Playroom and it almost brings me back to like the PlayStation 1 days of like a simple platformer, real simple, not much going on gameplay wise, real short, and just a very compact experience. While it might not be a long game, every moment in Astro's Playroom feels important. Like whether it's information, gameplay, just that general feel good. You mentioned the PlayStation, like, devices. I learned so many things I didn't know PlayStation had for stuff for certain systems and all kinds of stuff. So like, and as we mentioned earlier with other games, Astro's Playroom, because of the moment to moment of seeing things, Astro's Playroom feels like, as a PlayStation fan, if you are that PlayStation fan, that game isn't just a game. It values you as a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Astro's Playroom feels like. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
So that's all I wanted to add for Astro's Playroom. But yeah, I love that. I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So yeah.
All right. Where
was that my turn? Because like Gino and Ignacio.
That was your turn, yeah. that was your number 5. Now it's Ignacio's number 5.
Yeah, it's number 5. My number 5 is Miles Morales.
Okay.
All right.
That's higher on my list.
My number 2, as you guys know.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll
Only thing that I will mention is that this is a game that I added. When I said that I added one after getting my PS5.
Okay, cool. Nice. We'll talk about that after.
Kyle.
Okay, let's see. Opening up my notes here. My next one, I know this is going to be higher up on some people's lists. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That's higher on my list.
You have it at number 5?
Yep. Nope.
I have it at number 5, my dude.
It's way higher for me.
Technically, that's in my honorable mentions. It's a game I played, but it just didn't really stick with me.
Yeah, this is higher for me. And I feel like switching it, dude. I feel like switching it where I have it. But let's see. We'll think about it.
It's higher for me.
You can make a last minute change right now.
Yeah, you can change it.
I'll leave it in my honorable mentions. I'll leave it where I feel like it belongs.
Okay. Cool. Okay, we'll talk about it later. All right.
Okay.
I'm excited to talk about this one. This is my number 4. And this is the one that I was talking about, Ignacio. Immortals Phoenix Rising.
How did I know? I actually have this game. I have not even booted it up yet.
Play it, dude. Okay, so the first time I spoke about this game, I was kind of lukewarm on it. But I had only played for like a few hours. But after every time I played it, I found myself wanting to continue. This game caught me completely by surprise, guys, with how well written it was. I have never had a game make me genuinely laugh, aside from like South Park or anything like that, you know? But this game made me laugh. It made me laugh when people would talk in different cutscenes. And that alone was an amazing part of it that made me want to continue seeing what everyone had to say or whatever, what next cutscene I was going to get to. So the weird thing is that, or not the weird thing, but so you guys know you're able to customize your character in the game however you want.
Sure.
You make them
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you make them your own person. It's funny that you mentioned that you didn't know that, Alan, because for some reason after I had finished customizing my character, I'm 30 hours in the game, I entirely forgot that was an option.
Oh.
Because my customized character felt like such a main character that I couldn't imagine her looking any other way. And that's how cool the writing is. Because I assume everyone that plays this game feels that way about their character. That like your character becomes that person. And
like it really makes you feel like you yourself are the main character.
Exactly. That like the way I've customized my person is the way they were supposed to be customized, the way they were imagined for some reason. And back then when I spoke about it, it does copy a lot of the Breath of the Wild mechanics, more than Genshin does when it comes to gameplay. But the cool thing is that it doesn't have the annoying bits of that game, like weapons breaking and stuff like that. So
it is kind of annoying.
Yeah. So the other little thing, every little cutscene in this game, scenes that you can completely skip, like upgrading your health or stamina. There's little cutscenes that play when you're doing that. They're so enjoyable that I never skip them. Every little part of this game, I think, is so well thought out, so perfectly done that I cannot believe that this is a Ubisoft game. I absolutely cannot believe it. It's so well done.
It looks good though. Like
yes,
I want to play it, but especially just after having, like 50 more hours in Assassin's Creed. I'm just like, I need to take a break from open world stuff.
I picked it up in the middle of playing Assassin's Creed, and it completely took me away from it because it is the better open world Ubisoft game that came out, compared to like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed and stuff. Like it really, this is not a Ubisoft game. I think a different internal studio made this, obviously, right? Whatever that studio is, I don't know what studio it is. I'm sorry about that.
Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, this was the team that made Odyssey.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to why. Well, I mean, this does have the gods and stuff like that, similar to the way the Odyssey does, but the way this plays around with that sort of mythology, it makes the very serious stuff. Like, that Zeus has, I learned stuff that Zeus did, but in a more digestible manner. You know, like he exiled his children and killed the human, like different stuff. He destroyed a lot of things. Yeah. But the way they play around with that writing in this game makes it funny. But it's funny because they're talking about very bad things in such a nonchalant way. So I don't know. I had so much fun. The whole game is narrated by Zeus and Prometheus, and you hear their banter whenever you're doing random things in the game, because every little thing that you're doing, they have something to say about. So it's awesome to just explore the map and do random things because they'll say something. And I don't know, it's just so expertly written, this game. It's an awesome, this is a DreamWorks / Pixar game. And it's so fun to play. And I cannot recommend it enough, dude.
High praise.
If you're going to play one of these games, Ignacio, skip Assassin's Creed Valhalla for now and play this instead.
Before this, Phoenix Rising, it had the same effect with me like Genshin Impact, where it did feel like that uncanny valley where it is so close to Breath of the Wild, but at the same time, it really feels like, as an outside observer, it feels like Ubisoft's Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And not really in a good way. But what you said, it is kind of pushing me towards it. It is piquing my attention, my curiosity.
Yeah, no, it definitely, the way it copies it right. You can tell that they really thought about the game that they were inspired by. And they didn't want to feel like a clone, but they wanted to make it their own. And that's exactly what they did.
They wanted to copy the homework, but not make it look too obvious.
Yeah, they wanted to copy the homework, but make themselves seem the better student.
Okay.
So and they did that. They did it well for me. It got me into it. I actually wrote credits on this game, and nice. I want to go back and keep playing it.
Nice.
Plus, isn't like, I mean, even if Immortals does kind of copy Breath of the Wild, isn't copying just a really good form of flattery? Like, it just means that Breath of the Wild meant a lot to them.
It depends on how it copies it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's in a bad way. I think they just loved that game and they wanted to make it their own. Yeah.
Because, like, I know Ubisoft gets a bad rap for, they just make these third, person action open world games. And this is still technically that, but it's in a style that they haven't done. Like, what if we make it more cartoony? And what if we add in some influences from Breath of the Wild and so on and so forth? And it stands out amongst their catalog. Yeah.
It weirdly reminds. Sorry, you can go.
I was just quickly gonna say that it doesn't have all the little things that you would find in the Ubisoft game when it comes to little You know how they usually have their little bugs and little glitches and stuff. This game seems so much more complete than that, which is why I was surprised to think of it as a Ubisoft game. But yeah,
there you go.
What were you saying, Alan?
Well, the thing I was going to say is like, I do like when Ubisoft does something different because they haven't done something like it in quite a while. Mm-hmm. But another game that they made that was really great that I loved was Child of Light, because it was just so different than what they would normally make.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what Immortals makes me think of. It might be like Breath of the Wild, but it's kind of a different style that Ubisoft doesn't normally do, that it really makes it stand out amongst all their other library of games.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely a recommendation.
Yeah, me. I can't wait to play it. Like, I have it, I just haven't played it yet.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, what's your number 4, Alan?
Oh, for some reason I thought that was Kyle. Like, did we skip Kyle? Kyle, what was your number 5?
Kyle was Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's right. Wow. Sorry. My number 4, right?
Yeah.
My number 4 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else has this on their list.
Good old Anthony Hawk.
Some Tony Hawk. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I didn't
exactly.
Yes, So Pro Skater, I love this game. Like, I didn't play a lot of Pro Skater games, and especially after the big kind of failure that Pro Skater 5 was, that people just absolutely hated. This was a really great return to form, even if it is just 1 and 2 just remade and purposed together. But it does make it where you can actually play with both games' skateboarding mechanics together. So they definitely combined the best parts of the games just together. And the feel of the game was great. It was so great that even though I don't really ever, never play a skateboarding game, I played this game constantly. Like, I had friends play it. I sometimes go back to it to try to set higher scores on like levels that I played. I even tried to get
nostalgia is real.
Yeah, well, I don't really have much nostalgia for it, because even if I played the second one, I don't really have much memory of it though. So everything felt brand new to me. So nothing really clicked in my brain to be like, oh, I remember this. It all felt brand new. And in typical fashion, I get the trophies, obviously, but I actually think that was a good thing, because trying to get the trophies for this game caused me to learn more in-depth mechanics of the skateboarding, of doing getting more height or chaining better combos or all kinds of stuff. And the more it pushed me to learn the more complicated skateboarding tricks, only just heightened my enjoyment of the game, where then I found myself just playing at that high skill level when not even going for trophies or achievements or anything, because I was just having fun learning the new skills and the new tricks I could combine and chain together. So it really is fun, and it just feels arcadey, where I can just pick it up, play 2-minute levels, and then stop and switch to something else, or go into it and play a quick multiplayer match or two, and then just put it down. So it almost has that kind of roguelike feel or arcade feel, where I can just pick it up, play it for 20 minutes, put it down, do something else. So
there you go. Good.
Yeah, it was a game I did not expect to love as much as I do, but I love it a ton. Number 4.
Now you know why everyone loved these games back in the day. They're just
I do
infinitely replayable, and the music is so good.
Oh my god, dude!
I'm surprised they were able to get all that music again. It was awesome.
Well, even some of the new music they put into it, I think I have 7 songs from the game just on my phone, because they're bangers, man.
Yeah, indeed.
I just hope that they remaster Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
And we'll see, man. I don't know.
That's my Tony Hawk.
Well, we can only hope. But yeah, whatever they do after this is going to be exciting.
Too. They're probably I think they're gonna do that same, because Activision's been doing that sort of, let's bring back a trilogy and then let's make a new one. So I feel like they're gonna do the 1 and 2, then they're gonna release 3 and 4, and then they're gonna release a proper sequel.
Interesting.
They have to be careful, because Pro Skater 5 was bad, so they do have to kind of be careful with what they do.
Yeah. Also, hopefully they branch out into the other Tony Hawk games. I would love an Underground, for example. Bring that back.
Cool. Okay.
Yep.
On to Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Tsushima.
So should I go?
Yakuza.
Because Ghost is my number 6.
Yakuza.
That's how it's pronounced. I
You
have
said
it at number 4.
You said that's
Kyle.
so defeated, Ignacio. You said that's so defeated.
I tried to be correct here. I tried to pronounce it as it should.
Yeah.
It's Yakuza, obviously.
Yakuza.
Yes, exactly.
Anyways, Ghost of Tsushima is great.
It really
Wonderful.
is.
It is, yeah. I didn't beat this game, so I will only say one thing about it.
Okay.
This game is beautiful. Probably one of the beautiful games that came out this year.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'll say.
Yeah. For me, Ghost of Tsushima, it was one of those games that I knew it was coming out. I knew that I would probably enjoy it. I was like, fine, I will play it. Of course, it's coming out. I'm sure it's gonna be good. I wasn't expecting it to grab me like it did, for me to enjoy it like it did. Not only did I enjoy the story of Jin and his whole journey, seeing him evolve and his whole perspective of life evolve and his own set of rules evolve, but I also enjoyed the gameplay of it. I'm a huge fan of melee combat, and I love swords, and I think that this game did such a great job with it. And even though they had you have to balance or juggle 4 different poses for different enemies, I eventually, and it didn't take me long, it became so natural for me to go from one to the other, to another, depending on the combat. And also one thing that I really have to commend the game for is that as Jin and his whole philosophy evolved, not only his philosophy evolved, mine did, and the way that I approached the game. Like at the beginning, I was all for honor and you gotta fight them looking at them. That's how I was playing. And then by the end, that changed for me with him. I was like, no, be the ghost, do what has to be done. This is what has to be done. And I love that so much of the game.
Well, to add to that though, too, the game does also change that, because before Jin officially kind of embraces being the ghost, sword combat is technically the better way to go. But as the game progresses, the enemies get like tougher, or like they're bigger groups, or like there's bigger encampments. And I feel like you can be stealth, and also like this game is very good whether you be stealthy or do melee combat. They're both equally viable. But I found myself like wanting to be stealthy earlier in the game, and I still could, but it really felt like because Jin didn't want to be dishonorable, it felt like I could still be stealthy, but it just didn't feel quite like it clicked. And when Jin became the ghost and had those couple more tools, it really felt like the game was evolving into that. Like you, the player, but the gameplay also slowly transformed into that as well.
Yeah, I think that's my one criticism of the game, is that I loved the story and I loved the mechanics, but I think the mechanics fought against the story a little bit in certain parts, because everyone they were like, oh, this is just an Assassin's Creed game that we all wanted. And in a sense, I would say, yes, this is the better of the Assassin's Creed games that came out this year. But that's the thing. I wanted to play it like I play an Assassin's Creed game, which is stealthily. And it's being like, well, no. Don't do that. That's dishonorable. And I'm just like, I'm a fucking ninja. Back off. You know?
You're a samurai.
Yeah,
you're
it
a
gives
samurai.
you that
Show some respect,
cutscene.
Kyle.
I know, exactly. I don't care. I'm a fucking ninja. Let me be stealthy. I don't.
Kyle, you're so dishonorable.
Well, see, okay, Kyle, I get where you're coming from. Like, you are right. You are actually exactly correct that the mechanics do kind of fight each other in the game. And to me, you're right. But I feel like that almost plays to the game's strength, because it really makes you.
It kind of does, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it does and doesn't, depending on if you like that or not. For me, it worked because while they were fighting against each other versus how I wanted to play versus how Jin wanted to, when Jin didn't want to be that way, it made me kind of play his way. But then when Jin changed to be how I wanted to be, it made me feel like I had a stronger connection to Jin mechanically and like just emotionally with the story of like the plight that he goes through. And I felt like that brought me closer to Jin as a character. And with those mechanics, I feel like it makes the game more immersive to me because it's immersing you into having to play this way.
Yeah.
Until it switches.
What I find interesting,
Gino.
Yeah, what I find interesting is that I don't know if it was a missed opportunity or just a narrative decision on their part. I mean, they're the ones that made the game, so they know what they're doing. But when I first saw this game, I originally thought it was going to be that typical sucker punch mechanic of having the good and the bad of your decisions. And I figured the ghost side would be the more evil side, and then samurai would be the sort of the good way that you can go. So I don't know if that was the way this game went, if it would have worked well in a way. But seeing what you guys are saying, it seems like that wouldn't have worked as well as what I thought.
Well, because I think from Kind of Funny's spoiler cast with I forget his name already. The guy behind it. Yeah, it's those are my
off the top.
I think he mentioned that like they didn't implement a morality system.
Andrew Goldfarb.
No,
not him. But shout out to Andrew Goldfarb.
I believe he mentioned that they didn't add the morality system because they didn't want to just kind of leave it open-ended. They wanted to tell a story.
Nate Fox.
Yeah, Nate Fox. Like they wanted to tell Jin's story. Like, yeah, they could have put morality in there where you could have been good or bad. But they wanted Jin to be this way.
And at the end of the day, I think that's a good decision for what they did. Because when we end up talking about The Last of Us Part 2, there'll be something similar in that I like the fact that these characters are their own person, and it's not just me. Like, right? Like I play the Assassin's Creed games the way I want to play them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this was like, well, you can kind of do that if you want to, but we're gonna push back a bit and be like, hey, you like play this how Jin would play this. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I was like, oh, okay, that's making me understand him better and understand his journey. To be like, at the end of the game, you have to make a decision based on the way you played and who you thought Jin was as a character. And it was just like, oh man, this is working wonders.
And it does kind of give you a moral choice at the end of the game. Like that is kind of your big moral choice. So you can either be the new Jin, or you can kind of retain the old way. So it does kind of give you a moral choice at the end, but it doesn't really impact who Jin actually is in the end. And then he's still the ghost.
After all that, we haven't even mentioned the like improvements on like the way point system of just it's natural. The wind is guiding you.
I did have some problems with that.
What?
I had none. Yeah. I thought it was masterful.
Yeah, the wind really brought the environment to life.
You got nothing nice to say, Ignacio? Don't say nothing at all.
Yeah.
In that way, it was a cool artistic decision to make it win. I appreciate it on that way. Mm-hmm. But the problem that I had is that the win wasn't good when you didn't know if you had to go up or down.
Or you had to explore.
Like that. More than once, I thought that I was going the right way, following the wind, and it turned out that no, I should have gone the other way. More than once.
Yeah, there were a few times when you're on an incline that it's difficult to tell. Of like, is it going towards me or against me or?
Yeah, the problem with the wind is that it didn't feel very precise because it was wind.
But you can still commend them on the fact that they changed the way waypoints work, and that way a lot of other people start thinking about, let's not just have a random thing on the map. Let's maybe do something different like they did.
Well, it does like a cool middle because like I didn't really enjoy like, was it Far Cry 5 because it had no real waypoint system. It was just kind of like here, just explore. But I also don't really like just the, oh, hey, here's a cursor marker. you can still have the cursor marker on your map and stuff like that because your wind will track it. But I like how the wind is a dynamic way of giving you a waypoint without giving you literally no waypoint, just go explore, or just having a little blip on your map of like, oh, go to that spot. Yeah. The only thing I didn't like, I just wasn't a big fan of the excessive amount of like birds and foxes you have to follow. I feel like they should have done a bit more with that, but in the end, it didn't really take away. I just kind of wish there were more options, but I still love them anyways.
I still think that it was cool for the, I don't know, first half of the game where I was encountering them. But at the end, I was just like, I'll just ignore you now.
Yeah.
And also, one last thing for the wind thing is that if your waypointing system is getting you lost, maybe you should reconsider it.
Well, have you tried developing the game? Let me know.
Damn, those are fighting words right there.
I'm sorry. That's my.
You killed him.
I don't know why I have for how much I love Ghost, I have it at number 6. It's my only thing is I love Ghost, but like it's just one of those games that I wouldn't go back and just play again and again and again. And that's the only reason I have it at 6. But like in terms of story and like ripping out the replayability, it would be higher on my list.
Has anyone here played the multiplayer?
No, I haven't tried it yet.
I played it for like 2-3 hours, and it's a whole other thing of its own. It's pretty awesome.
It's so wild for me that there's a whole other section of the game that I have.
And it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, which is interesting for me because what is Naughty Dog gonna do now seeing that, you know? So how are they gonna deal with factions? I hope they make it free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they gotta make it free, right? It's just gonna make it look bad.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they made such a well thought out, complete multiplayer expansion to a single player game, I assume, raises eyebrows at Naughty Dog when it comes to factions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do think that it will end up being closer to the factions of the original.
Yeah, but that's just because that's the multiplayer of it though. Like that would kind of make sense to leave it that way.
So great.
Good stuff.
But yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Move on. Gino.
What's up next? Wait, it's me for real?
Right?
It was mine and Kyle's number 4.
Yeah, we both had it at the same spot. So
okay, so
Gino, you're up next.
We're at number 3 now, correct?
Yep.
All right, mine is Spider-Man. Miles Morales.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Mine's number 8.
And that's my number 2. So
that's your number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll move forward.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. Here's going to be another eye roller. You ready?
This is number 3, Alan.
I know.
This is number 3.
I know. I'm going to get some eye rolls for this.
All right, go ahead.
Number 3 is Cuphead.
What? Wait.
What?
Did Cuphead come out this year?
It finally came out for PS4 this year because it was an exclusive. Then trickled out the Switch, and then a release for the first time ever on PlayStation.
Did anybody see his list before this?
I did not.
We should have.
I think that one should be disqualified, to be honest.
What?
Yeah,
what?
No. Yeah, that one.
That one gets the DQ? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You broke Kyle. Kyle just accepted every other one.
Because look, so something like DMC5,
hey.
I can understand that because it did add some stuff. It did, but this is just like, hey, we're finally releasing it for this system.
Yeah, it's the same game. It's just the first time I got to play it, and Cuphead is just right up my alley. I just like that game, and I didn't play a bunch of other new games because a lot of other new games this year that were like small just were generally a little bit uninteresting to me.
Alan, we know that you played more than 10 games.
No, I literally looked at every game that released in 2020, and I wrote down all of them, and either I just didn't like the game enough to really even consider putting it on even in my honorable mentions, or I just was like, I wasn't paying for that game. I didn't want to play it.
Look, just put
at the end of the day, though, if you had only played 10 games, that would be your...
Here are the other games I had here are the other games I had on my list that I just didn't like enough to really want to ever play again. The only ones I didn't mention is Resi 3, because I just didn't like it enough after I finished it.
But it was so
Kakarot, which was forgettable.
God damn it.
FF7 Remake that I played, but literally was just a second, was an afterthought.
Dude. Okay, so wait, Alan, the thing is, Cuphead came out for Xbox. What is it, like 2 years ago? I think.
No, I know. No, I know.
But the thing is,
More.
this is we're not a specific PlayStation podcast or anything like that.
No,
Any
I know.
game from any console.
No, I know. I know.
Okay.
So let me ask you this.
I will put Final Fantasy VII, the original one here.
Yes.
I played it this year.
Hey,
Tetris,
hey,
best game ever made.
I'm
Number one
only
spot.
saying,
No.
like, it's only the fact that, like, I come back and play these games, but, like, FF7 I liked, but Amy was the one that wanted that game. I just played it because she played it, beat it, and I was like, oh, I guess as an afterthought, I was like, well, if she's playing it, I guess I'll give it a shot. And, like, I played it, but, like, the slow sections, the
Oh my
just, like, I don't know, like, the combat was good, but it needed so much refinement and tunement that, like, I would not play that game again.
God.
But
You're talking about
we're
Cuphead,
not,
right?
No, FF Remake.
Oh,
FF7 Remake.
God.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so let
All right,
me
so
ask you
are we moving on?
this.
Okay. All right. Ask me.
Let me ask you this.
Go for
Since
it.
we're nixing that one, do you
Yeah.
want to move everything on your list up one and put something else in your number 10 spot?
But nothing else is really any good.
Oh my
You have
God.
to put
Lord,
one of the games, like, this is how it works, okay? You can't just put something from 2017 that
True, okay.
came on there. It has to be from 2020.
Fine,
So-
move everything up. Number 10 is gonna be some shit game that's forgetable anyways. Your Resident Evil 3.
Dude, that's a good game,
Just
dude.
put
It's on
Final
my
Fantasy
list.
VII Remake.
No, I don't
didn't like
want
it,
that
did-
game in my
Nah.
top. That game was not memorable enough for me.
If it's
Look,
gonna be like
For
this,
your
then I
personal top 10 list games of all time.
Yeah, no, I got it. No, you put
can
Tony
put
Hawk.
whatever you want in there, but for the purpose of this, it has to follow certain
I will.
rules.
Fine. I'm not going to talk about it because I already gave my thoughts. Just throw FF7 Remake in number 3. Just throw it in there. I'll tarnish it. Then if you have it on your list, you can talk about it. Go for
Instead,
it.
so you take Resident
Yeah, just throw Remake on there. Throw Remake on there. I want to hear Gino and Ignacio give their thoughts on it.
Wait, so are you not putting
No.
RE3 Remake as your number 10?
No,
He's
just
swapping out
put
Cuphead with
Remake. Just put Remake as
Final
my number
Fantasy
3.
Okay.
Okay, so here, let's see.
I wasn't expecting this much chaos, to be honest. I honestly, the only one that I was expecting was Devil May Cry 5.
Well, that's
We
next.
expected that one though from like the beginning. But
Yeah, you already knew that was on
I just tweeted it right now. We should have.
No, I know, I saw that.
We should have screened Alan before this. Before all this.
So, okay, so your number 3 spot is going to
to be FF7 Remake.
Thank you
FF.
for doing the
Seven.
right thing.
There you go.
Remake. There we go.
So yeah, FF7
That
Remake,
one,
guys,
8
number
points.
3. That game was amazing. Like, I thought the combat was like it really redefined what FF7 needed to be in a modern generation.
exactly.
Thank you for saying-
Exactly.
You know, like the
Exactly.
characters were amazing. I thought
Exactly.
literally like the side quests could not have been any more like you think Ghost of Tsushima had great side quests. FF7 Remake had literally
Hey,
the tier 1
You had to
side
rescue
quests.
those cats.
If this is
Come
a
on.
joke, Alan, you're saying all the right things.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I mean, the side
I
quest
thought,
one.
I thought the slow, like, I thought the where you have to go to the kids' hideout and stuff, where you trade in the whatever shit it is,
The
like
Moogle coins,
the slow moving like wall shimming.
Yeah.
Loved it. Like, it gave me a great
So,
time to
I
decompress
just-
and be on my phone.
I just want to take this time to give an honorable mention to Octopath Traveler.
Go for it.
This is a game that I play before bed every night, and it puts me
Oh,
to sleep
man.
not because it's boring, but because it's so relaxing. So that's my number 1.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Where were we? We're at number.
This is
number 3.
Ignacio's turn.
Ignacio's number 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Ignacio.
Since we all agreed that this number 3 is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yep. Yeah, it's
We're all
great.
cool with that.
I
Yes.
Yes.
literally
I'm
can't
fine
wait to
with
play that game after this.
God,
I mean, if he wants to put that at his number 10, he can. It's his list.
No, it's my top 3.
Has to be.
It's number 3.
No,
it's number 3.
Let's be fair. Let's put it at number 10 and move out every other one.
No,
up.
it's number 3.
Alan, I know that you didn't like it for whatever reason. Let's put it at number 10.
No. No.
What, is that your number 3, Ignacio?
No.
What is it?
No. Oh, God, no.
What is your number? Because you're number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your number 3 then?
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Whatever.
Okay.
We can skip that. We've heard about it too much.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Come
Well,
on.
no, the audience can't hear about it because they have to play all the other Yakuzas first before they hear about this one. Because
You're enjoying Zero. Don't keep me with shit.
All right. Why do you like this game so much, Ignacio?
yeah,
I like this game so much for the same reason that I like every other Yakuza game.
Mhm.
The story is so good. The crime drama, the twist within twist, with now there's another twist and there's someone new coming in that you didn't know about, and it somehow manages, even though it sounds like convoluted, it's not. It just keeps you entertained. That's mainly why I like it, because of the story. The gameplay, that I would have preferred the classic Yakuza gameplay, it being more of a beat 'em up.
Mhm.
I think it fits way more the story and the aesthetic and the whole tone of the story. But still, eventually I did started to get with the flow of the turn-based combat. And by the end of it, I thought it was fine. I kind of was enjoying it, but still I would have preferred the other gameplay. And the only big problem that I had with the Yakuza, which is why the first time that I talked about it on the podcast, I wasn't too high on it,
Yeah.
was that Yakuza, for its story, is usually kind of like climbing up a hill. It always keeps going up, and you get more hooked on it the more that you keep going. Yakuza Like a Dragon hits a point where it just plateaus, or it stays the same.
Mhm.
It's just and it is for a longer time than you would have wanted. That's why I was having the problem. But once it keeps going up, it picks up the pace. You're going straight back to Yakuza quality, and that's some high quality stuff. And that's why it's my number 3.
Nice. You make me want to play this game, but then you don't make me want to play the entire series. You know what I mean?
You are gonna love it. Just play Yakuza 2. Yakuza 0.
0. Okay, I'll try.
Having played Yakuza Kiwami, which in chronological order would be the one after 0, these games are amazing. Like, they're so much fun. You can get up to just the stupidest stuff, and it's great.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's the other thing that makes Yakuza so great, is that the story is such a serious crime drama mafia story, but still you will have some of the most ridiculous stuff outside of it. Where, for example, for this game, you can become a CEO of a company, and you can go from one small store to being in a huge building, and one of your top employees is gonna be a chicken.
Okay.
A chicken.
All right.
Yes.
That's
Great.
ridiculous, it is.
That's funny.
But yeah,
I love it.
it's great.
Your number 3.
Number 3. Okay, my number 3. This is the one that shook things up for my top 10 list. My number 3 spot goes to Umurangi Generation.
What the heck is that?
Fuck is that?
This is an indie game that I have been hearing Austin Walker and Kato Contreras mention on Waypoint Radio, which is a video game podcast that I really enjoy. And they said all the right things to make me be like, oh, this game sounds really neat. I want to check it out. It is a photography game on its surface. So take the like photo modes and stuff that you guys know from like Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that. That's the game. You are inside a level and you are given a bunch of prompts to be like, okay, go take a picture of the word cops, or go take a picture of a skull and a knife. Go take a picture of a cat and a bird, or of 15 candles, or stuff like that. So you have to explore the level to find this stuff and take that picture. And then after you've done all of the prompts, you have to go turn them in. And that beats the level. But you, when you take a picture, you can edit the photo right there. There's like some small filters that you can put on. And as you beat levels and complete all of this stuff, you get new lenses, you get new things you can mess around with to edit the photo. And that there's all these like extra objectives, like, hey, go take a picture of your friends and stuff like that, and you have to get them all in the things, or you know, each photo you take is worth a certain amount of money. So it's like, you know, a special objective might be make $150.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And it's a really simple in that way. But what's amazing about this game is the story. The way it tells the story is completely through the environment. There is no talking, there is no dialogue, there's no cutscenes. You are basically just a delivery boy, which is, you know, at the end of each level, you have to go deliver a package, right? But along the way, you take all these pictures. But just from noticing things in the environment, noticing the newspapers that are scattered on the ground and what they say, noticing the graffiti and the just what's happening within the level, tells an incredible story. If you guys like Neon Genesis Evangelion, this game is for you. If you guys like giant robots and kaiju, this game is for you. Yeah, it is wonderful. Because, yeah, the first one starts out like kind of neat. You're on this rooftop and you know, you're just hanging out there with your homies. And you happen to look off in the distance and you see a giant robot. And you're just like, what the hell? That's neat. Cool, huh? Strange. And then, like, by the third level, you are now at this like military installation, and you're starting to see these small like squid things on the ground. And when you take a picture of them, it's like, don't take a picture of that. It's against the law.
Oh, wow.
Like, huh? Okay, strange. And then, yeah, as it continues on, you're at that military installation a second time, and the military people are shooting, and there's this like giant squid-looking kaiju thing that's attacking, and you're still just like, hey, take a picture of the word this thing, right? But yeah, you just like start to see what's happening in this, and I think I beat the game in like 4 hours. It's super short.
Okay.
But then I played the DLC after that, and it just adds so much to what the whole story is. Where like I feel like the DLC is necessary in that game. It blew my mind. I don't think I've seen a game tell its story through only the environment, and I was just like, whoa, this is great. I love
that. Sounds cool.
So Yeah, highly recommend it. Please go check out Umurangi Generation. It's available on Steam, but I know they're also working on a Switch port.
Should be good on there
this year. Yeah, and it does the like gyroscope thing, so you can move your camera around by moving the Switch.
Oh, cool.
So that's neat. Yeah. So
Nice.
please go check it out. And the soundtrack is banging. It's great.
That's cool that this made it the top, the third one on your list. Because you played this over the break, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Umurangi Generation.
Awesome.
Oh, and last thing I will say on that game is the word Umurangi, if I'm not mistaken, is Maori for red sky. So it's red sky generation. And it's supposed to like mimic the way the sky looks when all the like natural fires are happening. Like you guys saw those pictures back at the start of the year where like the sky was all like bright red. It's supposed to mimic that, and where stuff like Watch Dogs Legion could have had the opportunity to comment on stuff that was happening in the United States, especially. It didn't, and this absolutely did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
this is not one of those games that's like, yeah, we don't want to put politics in our game because we want this to be for everyone. This was just like, no, fuck the cops. Like we hate them. They're, all that stuff. And it was just like,
nice.
Oh, goodness. Okay, yeah, like tell me your story. So
All right.
stuff. I loved it.
Sounds good. I'll try it out. Okay, my number 2, right? We're on number 2 now.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And this is why I don't know if I should switch it to number 1.
You should, man. You should.
I don't know, dude.
Come on.
No. Number 2. It's my number 2. It's my, so,
okay.
Okay. So you have it as number 1, right, Ignacio?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we talk about, I don't know, we're at the top 2 already. Do we talk about it? Or do we wait?
We'll wait. We can wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
a little bit longer.
Alan, you alive still?
Yes.
What's your number 2?
Obviously, it's Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition.
All right. Ignacio, what's your number 2?
that's all right. I mean, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition was just super fun. It added Virgil, like Devil May Cry 3 and 4 have eventually added as him as a playable character, and just seeing all over.
Adding him as a playable character add more story to the game?
It does. It adds a little bit, showing you a little bit of Virgil before the events of the game take place, of kind of what he went through slightly, and then it shows you more of him and Dante finally bonding, where you've spent the entire franchise of them just never getting along and trying to kill each other. So it's great to finally get some closure on Dante and Virgil, because Devil May Cry 5 is the end of the Sons of Sparta story, so it is done with Dante and Virgil. Where it goes from there, I don't know, but that's where it ends.
Nice.
Where is the guy from DMC?
What?
Isn't
that another guy?
You mean the DMC, like the DMC reboot? That's just a different incarnation of Dante. That's not related to the Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
That's
one
just was actually pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it definitely added a lot to the combat. Like Devil May Cry 5 even took notes from DMC and kind of added some features from that, so it was really cool. But it's been really nice since the game's even digital launch and everything else. It's been so nice seeing just all the extra style, the community content, the more mods, just all of the insane style videos that people have come up with Virgil, because while he's only one character, they've changed minor tweaks to his gameplay that have just really flared the community to just be as stylish as possible. And it's been amazing seeing what people come up with his new abilities, his new mechanics, just all that kinds of stuff. And it's for the community's beloved, just like testing with him and the combos they create, and just Virgil's being literally one of the pillar examples of Dante and Virgil being the rival story. Just it's been just euphoria. It's just I love it. So that's why it's my number 2.
If I've never played a Devil May Cry game, would I enjoy it?
Yeah, you'd get more out of it from beforehand because Devil May Cry more focuses on Nero, so they don't really. You get more if you know it, but you're not overly playing Devil May Cry for the story. The story literally comes second to the gameplay. You're playing the game for the endless possibilities of combat that you can chain together.
This is very gameplay intensive.
Yeah, so you can play it for the story. You can really play any Devil May Cry for the story, but you're really playing it for the gameplay, not as much for the story.
And I can understand why Alan. Yeah, I can understand why Alan is absolutely in love with this game because of all the points you get for hitting them monsters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you even just look at like Devil May Cry's tweet thing or like communities that respond to them, the combo videos you see are insane.
Yeah.
So
other than what was it, Nero?
It's got Nero, Dante, Virgil, and V are all playable in 5.
Okay. Other than that, what did they add?
They pretty much added a higher frame rate because at least on the console version of the original version, you were kind of locked at 30 FPS, but on this one you can now do 60 FPS, or you actually have ray tracing, so it makes the game look better. And like, at least for me, for Nero has like a sword rev mechanic that you have to hit his rev at certain frames, and it always made learning Nero a little bit difficult for me on 30 FPS because you have a smaller frame window to hit his rev mechanic. So at least for me on 60 FPS, I haven't played 120 frames yet, but I've seen people kind of have issues with it because Capcom needs to kind of work on it a little bit more. But for 60 FPS, it makes me a lot better of a Nero player because the higher frame rate just allows me to play a lot more fluidly with being able to chain combos that I normally could not do on the original version. So,
wait, so is it like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII?
Kind of. But instead of just clicking it once, you have to repeatedly click it, and it has different timings depending on what combos and attacks you use. And there's a bigger frame window for just getting a single rev, like an exceed is what it's called. But if you can hit it at the frame perfect moment, you'll get like a max act where it'll fully max out Nero's sword. And just having a higher frame rate has made doing his exceed mechanic a lot easier for me personally. So I enjoy the fact that now I can play it on console and play at 60 FPS or 120 if I so choose. So.
Okay.
There you go.
Number 2. His poop choice, if you will. Number 2, yep. You know what I mean? Funny joke or no? No? Well, what's your shit choice then, Ignacio?
Hey, don't call it shit. It's my favorite game of all time.
Your number 2.
So, yeah, I just had to give it to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Okay. I love the game so much.
I mean, I give it to you. This is Dragon Ball Z is obviously one of my favorite franchises in general. Mm-hmm. So
grew up on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you watch it in English or?
I watched it in English.
I grew up watching it in English. Yeah, the first time that I saw it in Japanese was late night TV on some weird Japanese channel. I have no idea what it was. We had it from some like satellite TV thing, and it was an episode of the Cell Saga when Trunks is like Super Saiyan like 1.5 or whatever he was, and he had the like the strange hair, that like spiked out sideways and stuff, and he sounded like a girl, and I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Gino, you understand Spanish? Could you watch a show in Spanish?
Yeah, I'm very fluent in Spanish. Yeah,
I highly recommend that you watch Dragon Ball with the Latin American dub.
Interesting.
Yeah. Dragon Ball to me is really one of my top, if not my top favorite franchise of all time.
Yeah.
And seeing what they did with the English dub, it just makes me angry.
But I guess you grow up on the Spanish one, right?
But the thing is that the Spanish one is so close to the original one. And I think that my biggest problem with the English dub is that it really changes the tone of it.
Interesting.
It really is a different tone. Goku is a different character, really. And that's one of the things that I really hate. But going back to Kakarot, yeah, maybe it is because I love Dragon Ball so much, but I just love the game so much. It is really such a fan service game for people like me who love the game. It goes through it all to an amount of detail that I was even surprised that they did. And they do so many callbacks, not only to Dragon Ball Z, which is what the game is based on, but even original Dragon Ball. Again, the amount of love that they showed to the whole franchise, it blew my mind. I loved it so much. Even to the point that for Kakarot, I did something that I never do, is that I changed the language of my PS4 to be Spanish, so that I would get the Spanish subtitles. And I was blown away how they clearly gave the Spanish translation or the Latin American translation so much love, to the point that I knew that this wasn't like an original, like a translation directly from it, but it was what the dub did to it.
Wow, that's cool.
Even the dub, it is very close to it, but there are some small details that they change that I was blown away that they did that for the fans that grew up with that dub. I was blown away with it. But yeah,
that's awesome.
My number 2, I love it so much. I couldn't, in good conscience, give it number 1, so I gave it number 2.
All right.
There you go.
Kakarot.
My number 2 was Miles Morales.
Oh,
nice. Okay, we can talk about it now.
Finally. Miles Morales was great. Spider-Man is my favorite comic book character. And I have been a huge fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics for a long, long time. And that's the series that Miles Morales came out of. So I've been reading his comics since they started, and I've loved the character. And it's amazing to see like how great the comics have been, and then to see the Into the Spider-Verse movie and how phenomenal that was, and then to play Spider-Man 2018 and be like, oh, that's Miles. Holy shit. Okay. And then he gets his own game and they knock it out of the park. I loved it. I cried at the end of this story because I thought it really made him seem like a hero. It really made him seem like he was still learning, but still just doing everything he can. And it was a short, like 12 or 15 hours, which is a perfect length.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved it. Great.
Yeah, this game, it like you said, shorter, so it does streamline a lot of the combat as well of the original Spider-Man game by giving you like the less gadgets and a new power to enjoy. So it made, not only was the game tighter, but it made the combat all the more tighter as well.
Definitely.
So like they just made a great game even better. You know what I mean? So, and this PlayStation has always had this relationship with Insomniac, aside from that Sunset Overdrive game. But this game proves that Insomniac was one of the smartest purchases that PlayStation could have made. And this is right up there, if not even a better company than Naughty Dog. So, because I mean, not only are they're putting out these great games, but they're putting them out often.
Yeah.
And they're not missing on these games. It's not like one of them are bad or whatever. No, they're all great. They're all hot, top quality games. And yeah, I echo everything that you say, Kyle. And I do want to shout out the fact that this game dealt with the Latino culture in a way that no other game has ever done before. So that definitely marks it up for me. That was awesome.
That's also one of the shadows that I want to give the game for what it did. We all know that Miles is of course half Latino, half black. And one of my problems that I have with Into the Spider-Verse was that it didn't really feel like Miles was Latino at all, except for some things, 3 things that you could take away and it wouldn't change much, and you wouldn't know any better. What I like that the game did here is that it really feels like he is half Latino, half black. That each side is as important to him and as a part of him as the other, and I really love that. And yeah, you do not see that much in video games, Latinos represented like that, which is cool. It is cool to see. Mm-hmm. And then to the game itself, I have it at number 5. I really enjoyed it, and of course, it is Spider-Man. It is Insomniac. Of course, it is great. It was a fun story. I would not put it above Spider-Man 2018. Mm-hmm. I even like Pete more than Miles, to be honest. Maybe it is because I have more of a connection with Pete. Racist. Maybe it is because I have more of a connection with... Oh, come on. I have more of a connection with Pete because he is my Spider-Man. I grew up with him. Maybe it is because you spend more time with him. Yeah. Even I know that the voice actor that voiced Miles got nominated for the Game Awards for Best Voice Actor of the Year. Yeah. I do not feel like that was a performance that deserved it. To be honest, it wasn't bad. It was good. Man. But I don't feel like it was any great. It didn't go any above anything important. And even, to be honest, for as little as Pete was in it, I did like his acting more. But that's maybe personal stuff. Also,
I felt like seeing like an old friend.
Yeah. And also the combat, I think that they make the combat easier because both the Venom attacks and you being able to go invisible, I do think that they made the fights easier because with the Venom you can take out many more enemies at once and you have a stronger powers, and then with the invisibility it just feels like you can just go invisible, take out someone, go hide, go invisible, get close to them, take down. It makes it so much easier.
That makes sense. That's a good criticism.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, still I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the story. It is my number 5.
Nice.
Go.
That was my number 3.
I had Miles at number 8, and in the end, I mean, obviously from disagreement standpoint, I thought Miles's voice work and just his story was great. I can see where you come from when you say that the Venom attacks makes combat easier, and like you are right that it makes combat easier only in the fact that like just because because you assume in the next Spider-Man game Miles and Peter are both going to be in it and they'll both be playable, whether the Venom makes his combat easier, I like it because it makes Miles stand out from Peter, because with Peter, I already knew how to fight and be efficient in combat, and I tried those same tactics at the beginning of the game with Miles, and it doesn't work as well. Even later in the game, by having all the upgrades, the tricks that I use with Peter for efficient combat don't work with Miles because they're not the same person. It really makes through the combat Miles stand apart from Peter. And it's the quote in the game of like, well, that's Spider-Man. You keep saying that Spider-Man. Miles, you are Spider-Man. And it really makes Miles feel like his own person. And it's for that reason that I like Miles's combat. Not that I like it better than Peter's. I like them both equally. I just like them for different reasons. Miles's causes me to play differently than how I would play with Peter. So, like, to be fair with my Peter in the base game, for how I have my gadgets and power-ups, I would say combat is easier with Peter because of that. Because Peter has the suit gadgets and the suit power and all kinds of stuff. Miles has that too, but he doesn't have as much. Peter can have any kind of special suit power he wants. Miles doesn't have that. He just has the mods that Peter has, but he also has invisibility. So he doesn't really have as much. And even in terms of gadgets, Miles doesn't have what Peter has. So you really have to learn how to really maximize Miles's smaller skill set than what Peter has available. And I feel like it's easier because you're forced to use almost everything Miles has, where you don't have to use everything Peter has because he's so strong.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to disagree with that because I think that for Peter, his gadgets felt like that gadgets they added and they helped a bit. I never felt that the gadgets really turned the odds in my favor or tipped the scale that much in my favor. I never felt that they did that much. They were helpful, they were tools, they were gadgets. Whereas I think that with Miles, both the Venom and going invisible go even beyond that. Even the invisibility, I think that it kind of breaks it. Even the Venom, it helps you be stronger and whatever, but the invisibility for me, it is the bigger problem, but it kind of breaks it.
Yeah. The one last thing I want to give, because I railed so long about that other part. The only thing I want to mention about the story, Kyle, because you really liked it. I had somebody who also played the game complain that the game was shorter, and I don't like to think of Miles Morales as its own full game, even though it kind of is because it's its own standalone thing. I almost see Miles Morales as just a bridge piece. Did we see everything that the game had to offer? No, because it's all setting up the next game because it has to set up Miles. And I'm glad you get to play this small pie slice of Miles. And I like how Peter in Marvel Spider-Man, he's already Spider-Man. You don't see how he becomes Spider-Man because you already know and he already is Spider-Man. This game is special because being a fan of Spider-Man like you, Kyle, and loving Miles as well, it's great seeing Miles come into his own. At the beginning of the game, he just has no confidence, no faith. He needs Peter. And at the end, it's that great moment of like, they're together and he just says, it's go time. Go time.
Yeah.
Because Miles has come into his own because he did not have Peter to save him.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Great game. Yep. Cannot wait for
awesome
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kind of
indeed. Okay,
right.
Gino, your number one game.
My number one game of the year.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 2. Well, surprise. Yeah, let's dive in then on The Last of Us Part 2 because that was also mine.
Do you have it at number one?
Yes, that was also my number one.
Okay, it's my number 7.
Okay.
Yes, so we're clear.
Let's dive right in. Okay. So this game is a game that I did not ask for because the first one ended so perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, nevertheless, we got it.
Yeah.
And I do not regret having experienced this story. And this game is exactly that. It's an experience, dude. And I think it's a game that every single person that owns a PlayStation console should play or experience in any form. And so, I mean, I can go on and on about the narrative decisions in this game. And although I don't entirely agree with all of them, the important thing is that I understand them. So this game is one of the most realistic depictions of a kind of world that we have never lived in. And a world that I can genuinely imagine being true. It pushes the industry forward when it comes to storytelling. And I hope more studios learn from this. And there's a reason this game won Game of the Year.
Yeah.
There's a reason this game made, conversations online so divisive. And I think the fact that this game went beyond just being a video game, but it became a conversation on humanity, on morality, on different subjects that we deal with today. I think it's something that we have to think about, something that really makes me feel like this game deserves all the awards that it would get. So I don't know. There's so much that I could say about it. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah. This game has haunted me since playing it and beating it. I'm still thinking about it because it took characters that I fell in love with and tore them apart and made me hate them. Kind of, right? Like I have never felt the way I felt playing the sequence where Abby and Ellie are fighting.
Yes,
and
dude.
It's like,
yes.
Hit the button to punch her. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And it's like, no, hit the button. And I was like, fuck you, no, I don't want to do that. It's like, Ellie, no, please don't do this. Ellie, no, don't do this. And I'm speechless at how it's made me hail, because I hate what Abby did, but then it also did the incredible thing of making me love her. Just like, she was a wonderful character, and I loved Ellie, but I also hate her now, and I still want the best for her, but it's just like I don't know what to feel.
Yeah, that's where it becomes divisive, because you say you hate what Abby did, but you fell in love with her. I hated Abby, but I understood her.
Yeah,
and I loved Ellie, and I still love her, but I understand her. I understand what they're all doing. And that's where, like, in this world that this game is in, there's no black and white anymore. This is just all gray. That no one's making the right decision, and nobody's making the wrong decision. They're making the decision that is true to them. And it could go back to when I mentioned to Alan about a villain being so perfectly written because they're right to the people that support them.
Yeah, this is exactly that.
This is exactly that, where Abby's right, but she's the villain to Ellie, but Ellie's right, and she's the villain to Abby. So,
you know what I think it is? Like, listening to it, I think it's the fact that, like, we as people, when you get upset or you get angry or someone hurts you, and it's that moment of, like, if you're doing something and someone wrongs you, you want revenge, and either you don't get revenge, but you have that kind of weird resentment by letting it go, but you were wronged, or you seek out revenge and you get it, and in that moment of getting the revenge, you tell yourself you're right because you find whatever way you can in your mind to justify what you're doing. But then after you've gotten that revenge or you have that satisfaction, you come to regret all the damage you've done to get there. And I think the reason we have these thoughts all Last of Us Part 2 is because these characters do what we as humans do. Ellie wants revenge. You know the destruction she'll do because either you have or haven't, or you've thought about it. You've had those moments in your life where you get revenge and you justify it. And when you get it, you feel empty inside. Or it's the fact of, why Ellie can't let it go, because if someone hurts you, you can't just let it go because you were hurt. You feel torn over it. So it's the fact that it's because they wrote fake people, not real people, to be what we are as people. That's what makes it so captivating.
Yeah.
Ignacio, thoughts?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it. It's the most realistic depiction of the way we would be as human beings in this kind of world.
Because you could see yourself doing the same thing. Like you understand, because you could see yourself doing the same thing.
Exactly. This game is amazing. It's everything we didn't ask for, but we got, and we experienced it, and we hated it, and we loved it, but we keep talking about it.
Yeah.
So
My
number one.
You have some thoughts on Last of Us?
I have some thoughts. Look, I said that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was my favorite game. I have two favorite games. I have my fun favorite game, which is Kakarot, but my serious favorite game is The Last of Us Part 1, if you want to call it that.
Okay, Part 1.
I struggled trying to decide where to put The Last of Us Part 2 in my list, where part of me wanted to put it at the bottom, at number 10. But then I just have to be objective, and because I know that technically speaking, it is a great game. It is a great achievement of a game. So beautiful I know game. That, and a lot of it made me, part of me wanted to put it low, but I knew that it's still a game that's high, that should go high. That's why I ended putting it at number 7.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The problems that I have with the game are not necessarily the ones that I think, they're not the ones that people got mad about. I don't know if we're going to go through spoilers or not. What happens in the beginning, that big betrayal or the big thing that happens at the beginning, it shook me, but I was like, okay, this is where you want to go. Let's go. Let's do it. And then you get to the point where I commend them for trying to make you like feel for Abby and be on her side and make you hate her at the beginning, but make you at the end, after a while, make you feel for her and be on her side in a way. I commend them for that, but I do feel that it wasn't done correctly. They make you play as Ellie for a big chunk of the game, and then they make you play as Abby for another big chunk of the game, and then they make you go back to Ellie.
Yeah.
And so when you go back to Ellie, and I had to control her, she felt so foreign to me. I hadn't played her in so long that she felt so foreign to me, and that's one of the moments that I knew that something was wrong. And then the end of the game, it kept getting worse and worse for me. Whereas I thought that there was a point where it could have ended and I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, this next part is like an epilogue. We're seeing whatever comes next.
Like,
but then
nope,
it kept going.
12 hours left.
And it kept going. And they kept making Ellie take so many bad decisions that I don't think she would have taken. And then the end of it, I have so many problems with the ending. I don't know if we'll, like, minor spoilers. Ellie goes
you
to
can
hunt.
Spoil it. That's fine.
Yeah, you could spoil it.
Ellie goes to hunt down Abby, and when she gets to her, she was about to let her go with no reason at all. She takes her, she unties her, and she was about to let her go. No reason at all was given. She got there wanting to kill her, and then when they get to the boats, she's like, oh wait, no, I'm mad with her. Like, why? Why did that happen?
That's the beauty of it, Ignacio, because you see this happening. She's still, to the very end, struggling with the decision of wanting this revenge. I didn't
feel like she was struggling at all. I felt that, no, she wants to kill her. She's mad with Abby. But she gets there and without any reason at all. She was about to let her go.
Tired. It's not necessarily
That's what
about
it was,
how she feels about
the problem
Abby.
that I have is
just
that,
like, I thought, look, I'm so fucking tired. Like, let's just come on. Let's do something else.
At no point did I ever feel like that was in any way communicated or you saw any change in her.
The way it communicated with me was so the part where you thought the game ended, where she's on the farm and stuff.
Yeah.
You see in a little, like, she gets a little vision of Joel bloody on the floor. And
I feel like the whole vision thing when she's in the farm is so weird.
You can see that she is still struggling with the fact that he's gone, and she wants to get rid of that. She doesn't want that. I don't know. I guess she has PTSD or something like that. So she wants to get rid of that. This is why she goes to Abby. But at the end, that last fight where you see what she's fighting Abby and about to kill her, she's drowning her. Rather than have a flashback or that vision of Joel bloody, she sees him with the guitar. So this is where it clicks in her head, and as the audience clicks in my head, that she's now realized that this isn't worth it, and she's moving on from
time to remember the better
from
parts
his
of
death.
him than
See,
so
like just focus on the
I see it almost like I see it
Exactly.
similar. I see like the vision Ellie has of Joel playing the guitar, because in that conversation is the fact of Ellie admits to Joel that she could never forgive him for what he did, but she'd like to. And I think for me, how I saw
it's
it
her
is
second chance.
Is when Ellie's
Yeah.
choking Abby and almost killing her. She has that flash of Joel the guitar. She remembers, even if she'll never forgive Abby for what she did. She'll never forgive her, but she's gonna try. Because in the end, I think it's Ellie finally coming out of. She knows that this revenge is gonna give her nothing. It's not gonna bring Joel back. It's not gonna make her better.
Yeah, and she wants to hold on to her humanity.
Yeah, so I always see it as Ellie's taking that same logic she used against Joel of I'd like to try to Abby.
Yeah.
That's why she lets her
Yeah.
go. But that's just
That makes sense.
how I interpret it.
So yeah, that's the thing. It's so amazing because we all interpret it in different ways. Ignacio got nothing from it, but that was half a joke, but half it.
The thing is that I get certain, like, as an overview, looking at this story and the story beats and what was tried to do, I do think that they did some good things. Like, for example, making you care about Abby.
Yeah.
Like when I took control of her, I was like, there's no way I can care about her after what she did.
The funny thing
by
is they
the end of
didn't
it-
for me. They didn't make me care about her.
By the end, but for me, they did. I did see her side, and I did care for her, and I just think that was good. But I don't know, that whole end section after, like I said, when the game was supposed to end, or I think they should have ended.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what they added at the end, it shouldn't have been added. If anything, it should have maybe been all the ideas that you were talking about should have been put into the inflection point where with Abby finally meets Ellie,
Yeah.
or somewhere there. Don't have them fight, then have her go back to the farm, and then have Ellie again have these revenge lust for Abby.
Yeah, having the game be
Had
shorter
some
would
issues
have.
with the pacing.
Yeah, it would have helped it if it was a little bit shorter. Like 6 hours or so probably would have helped the game.
And I feel like they should have handled better the whole you playing as two characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I think do you think if they jumped between them more often,
Yeah.
would have been?
I'm gonna say that, for
That makes
example,
sense.
there's a Yakuza game that does that, I think, perfectly. As an example, where you can go jump
I just
between
rolled
one
my
and the
eyes.
other and go back and forth.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up on The Last of Us Part 2, I also do want to shout out just the mechanics of the game. It feels great to play, no matter who you're playing as. Yeah, it does have that issue where you play with one for a long time and then it starts to be like, oh wait, yeah, this character's different, but each of them still feel good to play as.
Yeah,
And yeah,
technically
it's a
it is
beautiful game.
an amazing game.
So
technically.
Also, shout out for all the accessibility stuff that they added.
yeah,
that too.
That's a huge thing, which is now the like industry standard of like, guys, you need to make it like The Last of Us Part 2 to have it as accessible to everyone.
Yeah, that's good on them.
As you can. Good for them on that. Let's move on to Crash Bandicoot 4. We have 2 more games to talk about.
That was such a funny
Right? Let's move on to Crash Bandicoot 4. We have that one, and then Final Fantasy 7 to talk about, and then I will reveal what our final list is.
Cool.
Yeah. Crash Bandicoot 4, my game of the year, because growing up, the first game series that got me into video games was Crash Bandicoot, and Crash Bandicoot 2, the original one, not the Insane Trilogy version, is still my number one game of the platformer genre that I like.
Wait. What do you have against the Insane Trilogy version?
It changed the jumping physics and made them more uniform, so Crash 2 doesn't play like Crash 2. It has the jumping of Crash 3.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, so Crash 4, when I first played it, it was kind of a weird thing. Like I enjoyed it at first, and then as I played through it, I kind of started to not like it. And then making the decision to 106% the game kind of made me warp my opinion. Like in terms of the game, the quality of life improvements they've made to Crash Bandicoot is amazing. The story that they had in that game, I really enjoyed it. I found myself laughing at cutscenes and story and cool stuff that they had in there, cool little twists that you find out near the end. But yeah, like just it's weird because I love this game, but I don't like it because I see where its problems are. The problem with the game is that it added way too much stuff. There's a lot of extra stuff in the game. There's way too much to collect. So like it's not a game to really play to completion. And the game does have a couple mechanical hiccups here and there, but they're not many, but they do happen. And honestly, if you play through the game normally, you're never going to notice it. You can, but it's really when you go for the completionist style that the kind of cracks in the game show up. But like pros and cons together, I like this game. Like this game feels like probably the best Crash could be. Like barring Crash 2, the jumping feels amazing. His movement feels great when you're spinning to go faster. Everything in the game feels good. And especially going for time trials where you have to play the levels fast. The level design I feel is too long and kind of bloated. But if you play the game with the time trials, it gives you a whole different perspective on the game. And I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I'm going to kind of end it there. But the game has so much so much good, and so much bad. But I feel like in the end, it's what Crash Bandicoot needs to be now, minus some of the excessive fluff they have in there. If they cut it back, it would be my favorite Crash game.
Oh,
so
good.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, where does it rank compared to the other ones?
It ranks right behind the original Crash Bandicoot 2.
Okay.
Yep.
And so, comparing it between when you beat the campaign and then when you 106% did it?
Yeah, there's a 106% ending they have to get.
Okay, so would you say that after that, did you like it more, less, or the same?
After I got pretty much the platinum?
Yeah.
I found myself liking the game a lot more.
Oh, wow.
Like I could see myself going back and playing the game, but not to 100%, but I could see myself playing the game again.
Wow.
Like I would go back I would go back and play it again.
Wow. Oh my god.
So yeah.
So you didn't go mad.
Yeah, it went
insane
it's just
for a while, but then it like wrapped back around, right?
It's just the fact that the game adds too much. Or even not even the fact of adding too much, it just needs to trim. It's kind of like you just need to trim a couple of the edges, and you just got to refine it a little bit. It doesn't need to just have stuff ripped out of it. It just needs to be altered a little bit, and it would be perfect. It'd be great.
Yeah, I put Crash 4 at number 9, but still, I enjoyed that game so much. I grew up with the original trilogy in the PS1. And so playing through this one, I do feel like it's bringing me that same joy, but I do think that it is a little bit better than the original ones. I think that it has gotten, like, with the added 20 years more or less, give or take, it has added some stuff that I think that adds to the experience, whether it be more creativity in some ways with the levels, or even the story being more of a story on it, or even being able to play as other characters. I thought that was a neat addition.
But even then, those aren't really additions. That it truly feels like a natural evolution to where Crash needed to go. So it doesn't feel like there's adding it. It feels like that is the natural next conclusion that Crash would be. Yeah, like if Crash didn't jump developers and Naughty Dog continued to do it, Naughty Dog probably would have done this for the legit Crash 4.
Yeah, that's where I was going with the previous point, where it is like a natural progression of the game, where it really feels like it has evolved during the time between the games, and this is a natural progression of the game.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would add is that at the beginning, I was trying to get every crate and every secret, but at the end, I just felt like I had to stop doing that to really enjoy the game and not hate it and not try to restart every level or obsess with I missed one crate and I don't know where it was. I just felt that I had to let that go at one point.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't go for every collectible, the game is actually not all that long.
Yeah.
So the game's actually pretty short if you don't collect everything or even try to collect everything.
I still feel like it is a good length, but for sure it's not that long.
Yeah.
Compared to going for everything.
Pretty much. And the only other great thing is, because this is the Crash 4 that takes place canonically after the true ending of Crash 3 Warped, the game does a good job paying homage to the games that came after that, but just cool little homages throughout the game. CTR, Twinsanity. Not every Crash game is represented in there, but it's still cool to see that Crash 4 pays tribute to the Crash games that came after it, good or bad, and is still its own thing. And I actually really like the redesigns. I think the redesigns are all top notch.
Yeah.
So
cool. Good stuff.
Number one.
Okay, last but not least, we have one game left to talk about. But I want to circle back around to Alan. I want to ask you this. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Right now you have that as your number 3 spot.
Yep.
Do you honestly feel that that's where you want that game on your list? Because originally it wasn't on your list at all.
Now we'll leave it at 3.
This changes a lot. This changes a lot, Alan.
I mean,
it's fine.
For as much as that I would like it,
that's fine
to have it at a number 3, I do feel like it doesn't reflect your list. So
I'll have thoughts on it. You can leave it at number 3.
Well, it's not just about if you have thoughts.
No, I do have positive things to say that are legit. So you can leave it number 3. I want it at number 3.
Okay, I will leave it at number 3. And that being said, let's talk about Final Fantasy VII. Ignacio, I'll start with you since that was your number 1 game.
So, a bit of my history with Final Fantasy. The only real Final Fantasy game that I had played and beaten was Final Fantasy 15, because I'm not much of a fan of turn-based JRPG games. So when Final Fantasy 15 made the jump to more of an action game, that's what hooked me. That's the type of game that I love. And so going into 7 Remake as someone who knew some of the memes or some of the pop culture things regarding Final Fantasy 7, but had never played the game, I'm surprised how much I love the game. And I loved it to the point where it made me do something that I never thought that I would. I went back and played Final Fantasy VII, the original one.
Yeah.
On the Switch, of course,
exactly.
With every enhancement. I couldn't do it any other way, to be honest.
No, yeah.
But I did it, and I played through the whole game, and I loved it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really enjoyed, and I not only enjoyed, I loved Final Fantasy VII Remake. Even as someone who, as I said, I hadn't played the original 7, so there were so many references to it that I didn't get. And still, even though I didn't get them, I could feel the importance to the point where I appreciate it as someone who didn't know what it was, but I still appreciate it. And the gameplay I really, really liked. It is a bit of a weird gameplay, to be honest. Today I went back and played it for a bit, having not played it for a long while. And I was a bit lost as to how it's meant to be played.
But a bit complicated.
Yeah, but back when I was playing it, I really, really enjoyed the way that they translated the commands for the turn-based, how they managed to translate it into the action game. I really think that it was such a creative way, and by the end of it, I did really like it. I like the gameplay itself of just you with your sword and jumping between characters, and how each one of them was different. They were their own characters, and everyone served their own purpose. And yeah, even the story, I loved how, like I said, as someone who didn't, who understood the whole different things that they, like, I understood that there were references that I wasn't getting. I loved how convoluted the end was.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care that I didn't understand it. I loved it so much. And one last thing that I'm going to say is that Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of the few games, I think the only game this year, that I couldn't stop thinking about when I wasn't playing it. Last year, it was Jedi Fallen Order, which was my game of the year. Before that, it was Control, which was my previous game of the year. And this year, it was Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That's awesome. Yeah, this... So I was introduced to Final Fantasy VII through that Advent Children movie. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Oh, wow.
And I fell in love with Cloud and Sephiroth and all those characters.
Wait, Cloud, the guy from Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sephiroth, the guy from Kingdom Hearts too.
So I also played Crisis Core and that PS2 game Dirge of Cerberus.
Oh, wow.
So I knew about Final Fantasy VII lore indirectly. And it was always the best part of the best of the Final Fantasy franchise to me. Obviously, aside from 14 Online. But this game, so the reason I didn't put it at number 1, Ignacio, is because it's like the first part of a series of games.
Yeah.
And I know that when this eventually becomes a complete edition with everything in it, that's going to be a game.
Years.
Yeah. That's going to be a game that will be talked about for years and years, just like the original was. So obviously this game is a remake of an absolutely iconic game in video game history. So that alone is what puts it second on my list, because it's only a piece of it, but still iconic. The characters, the living world of Midgard, and just the fucking music, man. Like the soundtrack of these games and all Final Fantasy games in general is just one of the best, compositions of music in any video game. And yeah, I don't know. You said a lot what I feel. So this is it's an amazing game.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't mention, Gino, to your point where you said you wouldn't put it at number 1 because you think it is like just a part of something bigger. I haven't played through the original Final Fantasy VII. I know what the remake, what part of the game encompasses it of the original one. Where in the original one, it was like maybe half an hour to 1 hour, 2 hours tops. Whereas here, I finished the game with over 30 hours.
Yeah.
And even though I know people say that it may be dragged in some places, I do feel like not knowing that there was more game in the original Final Fantasy, I would say that this is a full game, but it is like the beginning of something, like calling a movie part 1. It is a complete thing, but it is also the beginning of something. And comparing it to the original one, I love how characters like Jesse, Wedge, they
non-existent in the original game.
Yeah.
When they died, you just got like one piece of dialogue, and that was whatever. I mean, goodbye, someone that I didn't really get to know. When you play through that section in the remake, going to each one of them as they were dying, it really got me emotionally. And I think that just because of that, it elevates it so much.
Yeah, it's not just at that point you can't even call this game a remake anymore. This is a reimagining in a way.
Well, the game that I see it is that it isn't a remake; it is a continuation. It is just it is Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, and then remake.
Yeah,
or maybe there's something in the middle, but it is a continuation.
Crisis Core, third distributor.
For me, yeah, I what you guys said was all great. I think the game is beautiful. I think to me, why I didn't have this up at all that high on my, I mean, it's still up there. It's in my top 5, but as much as I really enjoyed the ending, I didn't understand shit. And I had to go watch spoiler cast to be like, okay, what's happening here? And then once it was all explained, it was like, oh shit, that's really cool. Like that's
Nomura
that makes sense. And all of these theories that are out there of like, this is actually an alternate reality version of Sephiroth who came over here and did this, and that's why he said this thing this way, was like,
dude,
yo,
the crazy thing about it was that I didn't play the original 7, but I had no idea that I had a leg up on people by playing the PSP game.
Oh yeah,
that one is so important to the ending of this game. And I had no idea, so that surprise was so incredible to me.
I wish that I had known who that guy was and what he went through. I wish that I had...
God, yes.
I had at least watched Crisis Core as a movie to know who he was. I wish that I had done that before.
Yeah.
Crisis Core in terms of story and lore is a great game, but its level up and roulette system are not very good.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't play it. I just watched it as a movie on YouTube.
Yeah.
I played the first 4 hours of the original game before I played this one, just to be like, okay, like let me at least get that much so I understand what's happening in this game. And that's still, to this day, all that I've played of the original. But it did help me to understand what was happening as I was playing it. But yeah, the ending was confusing, and I liked the combat, but it's also complicated. And I don't feel like I was very good at it, so I did enough to get by, right? But I don't feel like I truly got, like, oh, this combat is amazing. I can do this and that and jump around and switch here. And like, it fell a little bit flat, but I understand why it was so special.
The combat is unrefined. That's what it is.
Okay, Alan, it's your turn. Go at it.
Hot takes.
So, Final Fantasy VII Remake was good. It was a good game.
God.
And I say that because I played that game, and I as typical fashion, I platinum that game. And I'm not going to say the platinum is what ruined it. The platinum actually showed me and had me experience firsthand where that game was unpolished. So in terms of myself, the story, it's fine. I like what they did different. It was good. I never played Original 7, but I know the whole story, and it's good. You know, I like that Zack was a cameo. Don't like that it changed his voice actor, but that's whatever. That I can let that go. My problem is, me as a gamer, I like my gameplay. If I had to choose, I'd rather the story be either non-existent or just shit, and have the gameplay be really good. But when the story is enjoyable, and I liked it a lot, but the combat is unrefined at a lot of moments, and its mechanics, then I have a problem. So playing the game on normal mode, there's really no issue. I mean, the movements are kind of over-exaggerated and stuff like that. That's whatever. You can deal with that. But playing a lot of action games for me, the problem with FF7 is when you switch the game to hard mode. The ATB system was very well implemented. Ignacio, you are right. The way they transitioned the turn-based combat into action combat was really good. It was really good how they were able to translate that very well into the remake. Yeah. The problem is, even in normal mode, there's a really bad habit where if you're fighting a monster or an enemy or anything, and you start trying to cast an ATB skill, certain skills besides your limit, it interrupts you or it just cancels it.
Yeah,
but
I hated that.
Yeah, and if you try to use a move, and even if you just start it, it doesn't have to be a big attack for an enemy. It can be just a basic attack. It knocks you out of it, and you lose your whole ATB. And there's nothing more unrefined than trying to plan out your movements or be strategic, and then you find that small window and you try it, and an enemy either off screen can hit you and ruin it and make all your ATB worthless. Oh, you need to heal? Guess what? It's tied to your ATB, which I like. But when you make it where, why can't there be some ability or some mechanic in there where if you're casting Cure of any kind, why can't you have in Kingdom Hearts kind of like a Leaf Bracer where you can't be stunned so you can still get your heal off? The combat is good, but it's unrefined, which I'm hoping the next installment refines the combat to make it be what it really should be. And the combat is good. It's not quite there. And being more of a gameplay guy, because of the combat just leaves a bad aftertaste, especially when you play it in certain situations or on hard mode, that sours my whole experience and makes the game, it makes it where I will not go back to it. I can think about it, I can like the story, but if I can get frustrated with your combat over simple things that should already be in place or should be more refined, then to me, your game is not worth replaying again.
Wow.
And that's where my problem with FF7 falls in.
I don't know if this is your number 3 game.
It's not.
It's not.
So then, where do you want this game on your list?
I don't know where to move it, so I'm just leaving it there. Like, in the end, if I take away all the negatives, I liked the game a lot. I just need it to be
If you take the parts that I didn't like, I really liked it.
Alan, take a look at your list. Where do you think, on your 10, where do you think this game deserves to be?
Oh, FF7?
Yeah.
Oh, nowhere on my top 10.
That's not what I asked. On your top 10, where does it deserve to be?
10.
10. Okay. We'll move that to number 10 then.
10.
So what's his number 3?
You
can number 3 that would then bump up Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, that just bumps up everything. That just bumps up everything.
Okay.
Damn, I was so close to have FF7 at number 1.
7.
Yeah, dude. Because that changed it.
Honestly, I'm really glad to hear that Gino, Kyle, and Ignacio, I'm really glad you guys liked it. I almost wish I didn't care about gameplay as much as I do, because I would like to enjoy it, but the gameplay ruins it for me. I can't do it.
You see, I get your...
I can't.
The only criticisms that I do get
and I lied earlier. The side quests are literal, like a couple of them are fine. Like 95% of them, they're not. They're worth nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I did every side quest and I thought, it did not anything. It didn't take away anything.
Yeah, the only side quest I could tell you, the only side quest I could remember that was worth anything was Tifa's workout side quest, and everything else I don't remember anything else because they were all shit.
Yeah. Well, going back to your comments about the gameplay, I get 2 of your complaints. One being the whole thing where if they hit you mid attack or mid whatever, you lose the thing. And also, I think Kyle actually said it the combat how I don't know, it didn't vibe with you. I do get those, but at least with the ATB, I was fine with it. I just got around it and got accustomed to it. With the gameplay, I do feel like it might be a bit hard at the beginning to, I don't know, get in the flow with it. But I do feel like as you go with it, as you go through it, or at least in my case, you do get with the flow of it. I mean, at least in my case, where
the flow of the combat is so easy to adjust to. It's just it's the unrefined like mechanics that it has underlying everything else. Like the combat is honestly fine if you don't really like care about it that much. The combat is totally serviceable. It's totally fine.
What parts are not?
Huh?
What parts are you saying that are not refined?
He's explained it. He had all of the stuff about the ATV
no, yeah,
stuff,
the ATV, yeah,
like it's
that,
fine.
The combat itself,
like
the combat works for their first step. It works for their first step. If they make just slight improvements or just make it a little bit more polished in the second game, the combat will honestly be probably like one of the best parts of the game for me. But since it's not there yet. It's not any higher.
Yeah, that works.
Okay,
see,
that works. Okay.
What's our list looking like, Kyle?
I have been keeping track of all of our top scoring stuff. So I have our top 10 list. However, we have 2 pairs of ties.
Nice.
So for our 10 and 9 spot, we have a tie between Yakuza Like a Dragon and Umurangi Generation.
Oh,
okay.
So this, I think, is between me and Ignacio of where we want to put these ones.
I will fight you for Yakuza.
I'm actually okay with that because it still means that Umurangi Generation is on the list, and I am so happy it made it. So there we go. I will switch these. So Umurangi Generation was our number 10. And Yakuza Like a Dragon was number 9.
Nice.
Let's see. I want to delete that cell. No. Delete cell, shift up. There we go. Okay. Then we have another tie for our 8 and 7 spot between DMC 5 and Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Ooh.
So Alan and Ignacio.
Ooh,
Ignacio's gonna fight over it. Just put Dave May Cry at number 8. I don't really care.
We're just giving it to Ignacio.
I don't really care.
Oh, you
laying down
fight me.
I'm not gonna waste time arguing. Just let him have it.
You can fight me. I'm ready.
I don't care.
Gino, do you have thoughts?
I guess if I'm gonna be the tiebreaker, I'll give Kakarot the higher spot.
Okay, there we go. We'll stick with that. So again,
no
number 10 was
no hard feelings.
It's fine. I'm not mad.
So now we have our finalized list here. Number 10 was Umurangi Generation. Number 9 was Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Cool.
Number 8 was DMC 5 Special Edition. Number 7 was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Yeah,
number 6 was
7,
Astro's Playroom.
Nice.
There you go. Number 5, Crash 4.
Ooh.
There you go. So I should say that Umurangi and Yakuza both had 8 points. Dragon Ball and DMC both had 9. Astro's Playroom had 10. Crash had 12. And then number 4 is Ghost of Tsushima with 20 points.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay.
Number 3, The Last of Us Part 2 with 24 points.
Nice.
Yes,
That's a good one. Good one there.
Surely dragged it back.
Number 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake with 26 points.
Oh wait, you said 2?
Number 2.
God, thank God it wasn't number 1.
Oh, you
God
preemptively did the victory, dude.
Thank God.
Oh, you
And
held
then
that
rounding
down.
that out by 2 points Rounding that out by 2 points with a total of 28 was Miles Morales.
Thank God.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude.
So
Actually, I want to take my Miles Morales back. I put it at number 10.
well, here's what we could do. If you honestly want to contest Final Fantasy VII, if you can convince us to put that at the top spot, we can put that at the top spot, but you have to convince us.
I mean,
No. It won't matter to me what you say. You might be able to convince Kyle. I'm telling you no matter what you tell me.
how many votes do I need?
You know how I'm feeling right now?
Hmm?
And this is not because Spider-Man's on the top list. I would deserve it, obviously. I feel like I might like Immortals more than Spider-Man, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
Interesting.
You did already say your list, though.
Okay.
So,
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there.
Gino,
Okay, yeah.
do
I'll leave it there.
you want to fight for Final Fantasy VII to be bumped up to the number 1 spot? Because
Huh. What is it? It's number 2, right?
yeah,
No,
number
I'm
1
good.
is Miles. Number 2 is Final
I like
Fantasy VII.
that. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Good
well,
with it?
as much as it pains me to say I will not fight it, because this is where it ended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think at
we
the
all
end of the
went
day,
through the list.
at the end of the day, I think Miles is a more accessible game
Yeah, of course.
to get into.
Yeah, and
That's
Final
just my
Fantasy was
take.
Final Fantasy was my number
phenomenal.
2. So,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
They're both.
I will not
so-
fight. I'll
Okay.
stand down. I put my weapons down. I put my Buster Sword down.
There's an interesting
got-
list.
Hit in the middle of his ATB attack, and we have stopped him. And
And he
I removed
can't use it, and his
materia.
ATV is gone.
I removed my
congratulations
materia.
to Spider-Man Miles Morales as the Whatnauts Game of the Year for 2020. Applause.
Nice.
Do the
all
victory.
around.
Do the victory sound.
No.
Still.
I was expecting Final Fantasy VII to be.
That's funny. You played it as
Yeah,
soon as
that's
you
so
heard
ready.
the name.
Good
What a
stuff.
good one.
You know what else is
Okay,
number? You know what else is? You know what else is number 2? My poop.
Yeah.
wonderful.
There you go.
A poop joke, and that's how we
Oops.
end our Game of the Year discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know, we have multiple podcasts here at The Whatnauts. You guys can find out more information on our website, which is thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in The Whatnauts and all of our shows will pop up right there. Please go check out our 5-year anniversary retrospective. That should be up on all feeds, no matter which podcast of ours you're subscribed to. It will be up there. We had a blast. 5 years is incredible. We played some trivia. We had some alcohol. We had some pizza. We gave out awards. It was a great time. And if you guys like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. We have a $3 tier where you guys can get all kinds of exclusive content. Speaking of which, we need to get going on our next Patreon exclusive thing for Crossplay. So I will be talking to you guys this next week about that. But yeah, go check out all of that stuff. Last but not least, a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So thank you so much, Sam. We appreciate you tons. Thank you for supporting us for so long. It means a lot.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work, Sam. Doing awesome.
Indeed. I guess, yeah, that about wraps us up for that. So Gino, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me over on Twitter at Gino_V with an I at the end.
There you go.
Are you having like a weird
And-
mental stroke of like, do you like?
I'm real chill
Alan,
now.
where can they find you?
Honestly, you can just find me actually mostly probably like at the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AzurePKK, where I'm slowly working on the Hollow Knight speedrun splits. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
you're
of
giving
which,
up on Yakuza.
this Wednesday night, I think, Alan, you and I are going to be streaming on the Whatnauts Twitch channel, which is just twitch.tv/the Whatnauts.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we're trying to start up for every Wednesday. I don't know how much we'll get to it in this first month, but we are absolutely testing things out and trying it out, whether it's me streaming or Alan or Gino or Ignacio or whoever, or maybe there'll be two of us on there. I would like to, like, every Wednesday night, just have something go up there.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that, of someone streaming just a game, or if you have any recommendations for games, just shout out really any of us or the Whatnauts in general, and hopefully you enjoy that of us just gaming and hanging out.
Indeed. Games will be played, fun will be had. Ignacio, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojas B. That's IGNACIOROJASB.
There you go. And you guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want to stay up to date with our show, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. Go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal. The thing that I will be pushing for this year is please go rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Please, if you guys like the show, go rate and review us. It helps us out a ton. I know every podcast you've ever heard says the exact same thing of go rate and review. It really helps us, but it actually does. So please help us out. We want more people to discover the show, and we need some more good ratings. So if you have nice things to say, please help us out.
Yes.
That being said, we will be back next week with whatever we're going to do next week. I don't know yet. There's still not much news. We might catch up on all the stuff we've been playing.
And we could do predictions too.
In these things. Yeah, we could do predictions for 2021. We will see. It'll be a surprise, so we hope you join us next week. And with that, I was about to say some catchphrase that we don't have. So with that, bye.
Goodbye.
Period and goodbye.